lovely listeners, and welcome to a very special 100th episode of your absolute favorite horror movie podcast in all the known multiverse. Why, it's Dead and Lovely. Here with the host with the most, it's me, Uncle Ben.
Hollywood Steven!
That crowd's going well.
We love him, he's the best! Yeah!
And also, for a celebration of our 100th episode, we got a couple special guests here in the studio. We've got Jimmy Stewart.
Hi, it's me! Hey! Shit, I fucked it. It wasn't him. It wasn't him.
No.
I have to say, my touchstone for it is, I'm gonna lasso the moon for you, Barry.
Oh my God, James Stewart! Thanks for stopping in.
It's me. Hi. The old building, the old drafty old house.
I think we've got some other special guests in the room. Steve,
It's me, John Travolta.
Oh my God, it's John Travolta?
My John Travolta impression.
It's so strong.
It's so strong. It turns out he's a werewolf. Did you hear about that?
And of course, it wouldn't be a celebration without me, Zoe Deschanel, and my ukulele. Oh, cotton, fabric of our lives.
Oh, it's me, Aaron.
Oh, and she's going to be singing a duet here on the show, here with that other famed songwriter, one Bob Dylan.
It's me, Bob Dylan. Gonna sing a song with you.
That's just a Muppet. Which Muppet impression was that? Tangled up in blue. Yeah, you know, it's funny. That's actually the second time that John Travolta's been on the show this week.
He was on. There was a special announcement yesterday. I took some phone calls. It's weird. Apparently, he listens to the show.
He's a fan.
Or he listened to the Carrie episode at least.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah,
he's
because he
kind of
wasn't
egotistical. He's like,
yeah.
But gosh, I'm in that movie. I gotta listen to the show. That's honestly more like Bobcat Goldthwait or something.
Old Bob Scratch Goldfarb.
That's him. Mm-hmm. That's definitely him.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to 100 episodes of Dard and Larvlarg. And they said we'd never make it, Steve.
Looks like we made it.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that we fucking did make it.
Look how far we've come now, baby.
And we just skidded in just one day late. God damn it, we almost had that 100 episodes once every Wednesday.
Only one episode has been released not on Wednesday. We released it a day early.
Oh, yeah, that's
we
right.
didn't even release it late.
That offsets it then.
Yeah,
that totally offsets
it's
it.
pretty much, we fixed it. Our average is on Wednesday.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'll have a drink to that, Steve.
Me too, man.
I'd like
what
to
are we
raise a
drinking?
tizzy toast. This is a delicious beer called Helix Rising. It is a hazy double IPA from my new friends at Trim Tab Brewing from Birmingham, Alabama.
It's me, Anna Nicole Smith.
Oh.
Trim Tab, baby.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Was that her secret, or was it?
Yeah. I would take a Trim Spa and then drink a Trim Tab, then maybe have sex with a ghost.
Oh, spooky.
Anyway, bye-bye.
So Trim Tab, like I said, is a small brewery out of Birmingham. And they recently had their Knoxville debut kind of release party over at Merchants of Beer in Knoxville.
Yeah.
I went down there and I hung out with their rep, ironically, whose name is Jimmy Stewart. Seriously, yeah.
And the whole time it was like, "Oh, Ben, you gotta try this.
You gotta try this.
He looks rising,
yeah." And I tried 4 of their beers. I tried one of them that was a sour that was unfucking believable. I tried this one, which is their double IPA, which is incredible, and I love it. He's got you a pull. You like that?
Yeah.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it is. That's so drinkable, by the way.
Yeah.
And man,
I know.
I could slam that
easily,
but there's so much flavor that I don't want to.
It's a sipper.
It's a sipper.
It's so good.
Man, that is good stuff. Trim Tab.
And I also had their what was it? I think it was just like their lager or something like that. No, pale ale. It was their pale ale.
Uh-huh.
Only it was like a Lagunitas style pale ale.
Oh,
where
okay.
It had like a shit ton of hops and stuff in it. It was amazing. And then they had this other one that's called the Breakfast Hero.
Oh.
Which is a maple coffee stout where they also throw a whole bunch of donuts in from some local donut shop. So it is a coffee maple donut stout.
Yeah, that sounds great.
And it's like 10%.
What?
And it's fucking nuts, dude.
Well, there's your breakfast right there.
It seriously tasted like you had a maple glazed donut and dipped it in a cup of coffee.
That sounds great.
And we're an alcoholic.
And you got alcohol out of it.
Yeah. So you like this...
without having to add whiskey to your coffee.
Yeah, exactly. It was like being Irish any day.
This is great, by the way. There's
Isn't that awesome?
So much flavor to it.
Yeah. You getting some pineapple on that thing?
Yeah, there's nice fruitiness to it, but it's also got a good resiny sort of flavor on the back end.
Yep.
That is kick-ass.
The balance of the hops to fruit ratio is pretty much ideal.
Good stuff, man.
Yeah. Dude, try everything of theirs that you can. Like I said, they got four of them on tap at Merchants. They got a couple over at Barley's, too.
Oh, okay.
So many places in Knoxville.
Yeah,
if you're in the Alabama
slice
area.
of pizza and... Well, you can't grab a slice of pizza at Barley's. You can grab a pizza.
Well, you grab a slice off somebody's table if you're quick enough.
You sort by yoink.
Yeah, exactly.
Take this.
It's totally mine now.
Look, is that a trim tab? That's mine.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Steve, first order of importance that we got to do here on the show. We just recently had something show up here in the mail that we want to open up here on the show.
I'm excited about this. We got a present from the Latours.
Oh, those Latours.
Yeah. John and Laura sent us a present, and we have not looked at it. Kate opened the box for us.
Yeah, pop the seal.
And we're gonna be seeing it. First time you're going to get our live reactions.
Yeah, exactly.
In living color.
You heard it here first, folks. I'm very excited about this. They've been longtime listeners and supporters of the show. We've had a lot of people that have been nice enough to send us beers and stuff like that, so we're very excited to crack this thing open and get a look at it. All right, let's get us a pull. Let's pull this thing out here. This thing is securely wrapped in some bubble wrap. It appears to be a framed item of sorts.
Oh, man.
I'm very excited to see what it is. I hope it's nudes. I hope it's just they found our nude pictures that floated around in the MySpace era.
Yeah.
They had them framed, I hope.
Okay.
Appears to be a handwritten note of some kind.
Yeah. And I'm not going to look at this. I'm going to read the note first.
Okay.
It says, "Hey, boys, congrats on your 100th episode. In recognition of this achievement, we wanted to send you something to celebrate and thank you for all of your hard work. Enclosed is a commission we had drawn by Mark Rudolph.
Holy shit.
An illustrator known for his work with Decibel Magazine and the band Carcass, among others."
Oh, shit. Carcass. Yeah, their art's always awesome.
All right. We think Mark did a great job and hope you enjoyed as much as we do. Here's to the next 100, John and Laura.
All right. Too sweet. You guys are better than we deserve. Let's see what this thing is. Oh my God!
Oh, that is dope.
That is so sick.
I am loving that.
That's amazing. It's a really incredibly drawn portrait of the two of us sitting in front of a microphone.
Oh, man.
With a skull over here by us. We look like a couple of hunks.
Oh, thank you guys so much.
That's phenomenal. What? We'll totally put pictures of this up on the Instagram and Facebook and stuff so everybody can see it.
I love that so much.
That is so cool. It's like slight caricature, but still like very dead on.
Pretty
what
accurate.
We look like. They got my eyebrow in place and stuff in there too.
That's awesome, man.
Dude, that is too cool.
Gosh, you guys are the best.
That is beyond too cool.
Oh, man.
That is super sweet of you guys. Thank you all so much for all the support. I mean, it's been, almost 2 years now. Almost 2 years now of recording. And it's something that just started off as just like, me and Steve, we never really get to hang out and chill out like we used to when we were in college together. And we both happen to really like horror movies and stuff. It'd be fun if we could get together every week and just have an excuse to chat and hang out. And then lo and behold, people, I guess, started liking it.
Yeah, people like it a good bit, actually. We have way more listeners than I thought we were going to have.
Yeah.
Because, we were just fucking around. I mean, I don't fuck around in anything. I don't think you do either. Even though we're just having fun, we also put a lot of time and effort into it.
That's the thing is like, ultimately this is the fun project. It's like this is my vacation from music full time and stuff like
horror
that.
movies and talking about it.
Yeah, but even at that, it's just like I can't half-ass anything. I can't.
No, me either. I can't do it because like I wanted to so bad with like some of the shittier movies we've done, just not put as much effort into them, but I have to. I just have to. Like, I gotta know for myself, I guess, more than anything.
Right. But the horror fan base and horror as a film genre and stuff, it's so small but so loyal.
Yeah.
That I think whenever horror fans encounter other horror fans that seem to be passionate about what they do and maybe have a good sense of humor about them and stuff like that. I think real recognizes real, brother. Real redneck recognizes real.
Do they?
Yeah.
Man. You know what? That's interesting. Are there redneck hipsters? Are there rednecks who are like, he ain't red enough? Actually, there are.
Now that I think about it,
there definitely are. What?
He got a Camaro. It ain't got T-tops, though. Ain't no real Camaro.
Oh shit! This was sort of a skit that the boys at Well Read, liberal redneck Trey Crowder, and they did some sketches for Comedy Central, and one of their sketches was basically hipster rednecks like calling each other out. Yeah,
that's awesome. Only listen to Skinner on vinyl. Stuff like that. That's so fucking cool. That is so neat that the Lucha did that for us. That's so fucking cool. That's got to hang
really
up
awesome.
in a place of honor and greatness.
Oh yeah, we got to get some good pictures for the gram too.
Definitely so. Thank you guys so much. It has been a very
I'm
fun
glad I didn't
100
cry.
episodes. Yeah? You thought about it, didn't you?
Yeah, of course I did.
You thought about it.
Yeah. People are nice. I'm like, oh, man, damn.
Damn it all.
No.
Well, Steve, the reason why we're uploading this episode a day late is partially because I am very bad at scheduling things. But we were both making some trips.
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, you still were going to take that trip no matter how we scheduled it, and I still had to take mine. We just didn't have the time to double
beforehand.
up.
Yeah. Double up.
That would have been a tough one to do.
It would have been hard to squeeze in.
Yeah,
really
with Carrie and this. They're both heavy. I mean, this is a real heavy episode. There's so much stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I went to Savannah with my wife.
Savannah, Georgia.
That's the one.
I love Savannah so fucking much. This isn't the first time you've been there, is it?
It is the first time I've been, really, because I've been to Tybee Island. My brother was stationed at Fort. Was he stationed at Fort Stewart? Whichever one's further south, Fort Benning or Fort Stewart.
They named that after me. You know.
It's me, Jimmy Stewart.
Fort Stewart.
I did serve in World War II. And this is me, Sean Connery.
Oh, wow. You just kind of morph a little bit. No, you know how you do Connery. I'll tell you how to do the Sean Connery. Do the Jimmy Stewart, but keep your teeth together when you do it.
Sliding into Sean Connery.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't separate your teeth when you do Sean Connery. So your brother was
O'Dill and the Little People.
So he was stationed out there. So you'd been out to Tybee before, right?
Yeah.
Tybee's awesome.
Stayed on the base with him for a week one time when I was 15, and we started drinking before we drove to Tybee Island, obviously, because and at Tybee Island, and then on the way back, I was in the back of the truck in a monsoon, just torrential downpour. Drunk off my ass, sitting in shorts on an inner tube.
Oh God!
And singing.
That sounds like you were living your best life.
I was.
You were tubing like nobody was watching.
Yeah. But yeah, we didn't go into. But so Emily and I got to go see a lot of the historical district and stuff. The historic district is gorgeous.
Yes, it is awesome.
We went to Forsyth Park, which has a Confederate monument. We didn't go see it.
Well, you know.
But it has a lot of other beautiful things that are not related to the Confederacy.
Them mossy trees.
Man.
It's spooky. Like, what I like about Savannah is like,
it's
especially,
spooky.
Savannah, like at night and stuff like that.
It's got to feel
creepy.
Similar to Charleston because of the history of it.
Yeah.
But because of the Spanish moss, it's spookier by far.
Well, to me, it's kind of like if you took just kind of that southern coastal historic town like Charleston and you mixed it with just the spookiness and raging party vibe of New Orleans.
Yes.
But then
I would say that raging party vibe is pretty accurate.
Oh,
and I'll get into that in a little bit.
But then it's all by means of art students because like SCAD pretty much owns
Savannah
that town.
College of Art and Design surrounds Forsyth Park. Yeah.
So it's this weird mix of like old South weird artist stuff and just dirty scum party village, and it's awesome. Like we almost moved there a couple of years ago.
Man, I could imagine living there for sure. Though, like, here's the thing. Georgia's one of those states that I keep thinking I could live in.
Yeah.
But then every time an election happens, I'm like, nope, I couldn't.
Not yet.
Not yet. They're working on it, but not yet.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Yeah, and of course, I'm sure you loved the sandflies.
Man.
Or biting flies.
Maybe I'll get a picture of this. I got okay, so here's what happened. So the wedding was held at the Mackey House. I can tell you this now because what are you going to do? Show up in the past?
Yeah. I have maybe. Got any time travelers listening?
Tell, right?
Yeah, you don't know.
The wedding was held at the Mackey House, which is an old sort of plantation that the Mackey House itself is surrounded by swamp.
Okay.
Now, Swamp's not normally gorgeous, but sometimes it really is very pretty, especially with all that Spanish moss and stuff.
Yeah.
So this was a gorgeous setting. Two of my favorite people in the world getting married. My cousin Shotgun, who writes for the LA Times.
Yeah.
And his now wife. They had everything just perfect. I've been to a lot of weddings, but like the ceremony itself was about 30 minutes max.
Okay, good. I like that. Shorter's better.
No religion involved.
I love that.
Yeah, none whatsoever.
I like where this is going.
My cousin walked down the aisle to. Fuck, I didn't think to ask him what the song was, but it is a recent hip hop song that was awesome.
Okay, cool.
And they had the best food I've ever had at a wedding.
No way.
They had a biscuit bar.
Biscuit bar?
Yeah.
That's about as southern as it gets.
That's as southern as it gets.
Badass.
So biscuit bar, they had gravy, sausage, just regular, sort of gravy, sausage gravy.
Yeah.
All sorts of jams, jellies, and preserves you could put on it.
This is good.
Amazing. They also had a quesadilla bar.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah. And then they had this other sort of island that just had different foods, including chicharrones, not chicharrones.
Oh.
Chicharrones. They were made with chicken skin and a little meat left on the skin and fried up.
Well, that's amazing, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, and a bunch of other great stuff. And 2 bars. Open bar.
Oh my god! They're trying to kill y'all. Did everybody take a suicide pact before the wedding?
No, this is the thing. Okay, so this is my dad's side of the family. I didn't grow up with them really. I only sort of know them. I mean, I know Shotgun really well because he, when we moved to LA, sort of immediately connected. And,
oh right, yeah.
We became good friends. But I don't know the rest of my family that well. So like, I got to find out that my dad's side of the family is the type of family that gets drunk together and has fun.
The good kind.
Yeah, like a type of family that you don't run into a ton, but when you do, it's like, I always want to be around these people.
Awesome.
And so, like, my wife and I were just like, man, we should hang out with my side of the family more.
Yeah. That's pretty cool whenever, like, you find those relatives that you haven't really connected with, and you're like, they're cool as shit.
Yeah, we had so much fun. I was dancing. I don't like dancing.
You don't get down.
Yeah, but you can't be around those folks without dancing. My Uncle Don, he'll get you up off your seat.
No doubt.
Yeah, my Uncle Don, I'd call him the Spratling family, like, mafia boss, basically. He at an Italian restaurant in LA, he initiated my wife into the Spratling family several times because he was very drunk.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Does he have a name like Donnie Two Dice or something like that?
Nah, he needs one though. He really does.
Donnie the Fish.
Donnie the Fish. Anyway,
now, as you were on the stage dancing and stuff, was there anybody whose body was being contorted and destroyed?
No.
In another room?
No, I was
Are
in
you sure?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I was in no way controlling anyone else, and if that happened, it wasn't my fault.
All right, didn't know about it.
It could have happened, but it wasn't my fault. So I drank a bunch of Maker's Mark, and then had a great time. It was fun.
Good deal, man. Yeah. You made it out alive.
Yeah.
That's very important. That's very important. Yeah, Savannah is such a fucking cool place. There's a lot of incredible restaurants and stuff out that way, too. And just so much cool stuff to see. I'm glad you had yourself a good old time. You got back, the other day, right?
Yeah, we got back Sunday night, and you guys left Monday morning for Asheville.
Yeah, yes, indeed. We just went on a little spring break.
There were a ton of people on spring break in Savannah. Yeah. We didn't know that was going to be happening. It was way fun. Like, because, I don't know, it was maybe the art students are more fun.
Yeah.
It wasn't as many, like, dude bros. It's just real fun time.
Well, like, basically, we had this little trip planned, actually, I think in February, and then we kind of chickened out. We were like, it'll probably be too cold in February to go and walk around Asheville and stuff. We were going with some friends of ours just for a weekend up there. And so we rescheduled it for this week in March right here. And we went Monday, Tuesday, got back Wednesday. And we kept calling it the weekend. It's like, oh, what a fun weekend. Oh, it's not the weekend. Then it was like Tuesday. I finally figured it out. I'm like, wait, guys, we're on a spring break trip.
Yeah.
Spring break.
Spring break.
So basically, day one, we just went and ate and drank our way across town.
That's awesome.
We took him to 9 Mile, which is like our favorite Caribbean place in Asheville.
9 Mile? Is that where you got to win yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had some spaghetti on my sweater already.
Right.
Yeah.
But not from vomit. No. It's just, you were eating some delicious spaghetti and fell on your shirt.
Actually, I did. I had a jerk marinara over a linguine.
Oh, yeah?
It did not get on my sweater, though. I'm a neater eater than that Marshall Mathers. You got me? You got me?
But he got it on himself from vomiting, which is
what a
even
loser.
less neat.
Yeah, exactly. Not tidy whatsoever.
Nope.
So we took him there, and then we went to a couple of breweries, including Burial, which is just, God, the best. I love it so much. I got some to-go beer that we're going to consume later on in the show. Very excited about that.
Yeah. We're anybody who's given us beers, we're just trying these two that've been picked up recently. We will get back to your beers next week.
To your regularly scheduled fan beers.
Yeah, I'm excited. We still have a number in there that I'm excited for.
Yeah, I'm stoked about everything that's in the fridge right now. So we ate and drank our way across town, which was great. Mm-hmm. And then the next day we went to Biltmore.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which was awesome.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, I've been there before. It's really awesome.
Yeah.
Did you take the tour and stuff?
Yeah, we did like the tour of the house, and we also went and walked around like the vineyards and all that stuff. I had been one time. Did I tell you about this?
No.
I had been to Biltmore one time in my life. I think I was around 7 or 8 years old.
Homeschool field trip?
That's correct.
Okay.
It was a homeschool field trip.
Yeah.
Which really just means it's somewhere my mom wanted to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my mom packed my brother and I into the car, and we drove all the way up there. And, at that time, we were just broke as a fucking joke. Yeah. So even just taking that long of a car trip.
It's not that far, yeah. But I understand. Same way growing up.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. It was a real special occasion to travel out of state.
Yeah.
To anywhere.
Or out of county most of the time.
Exactly.
Like, you want to go to the mall? That's all the way in Hamlin County.
Exactly. I don't trust them people over there. So we drove all the way there. We had a Ford Escort wagon, which was a piece of shit, and we were riding with the windows down, and there was like an exhaust leak or something like that.
Oh, God.
So we were just breathing in like exhaust fumes the whole way up. As soon as we got there, my brother was like, I don't really feel very good. My mom was like, you probably just need some fresh air or whatever. We were there maybe 30 minutes, and my brother just like throws up, like goes in the bathroom, just fucking pukes everywhere.
End.
Yeah, and it was like, and just time to go home.
Oh, poor mom.
I know, dude, I bet she was so pissed.
Yeah.
So I had basically never been to Biltmore before.
Okay, so you got to... Did you see Napoleon's chess set? Did you see the gigantic drown yourself pool?
So, weirdly enough, I didn't see the chess set, but that's one of the things I did get to see the first time that I was there.
Yeah, because it's like right near the beginning of the tour.
It's like in the atrium or something like that. Yeah. They didn't have it there this time, but I've already seen that.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck about that thing. So, I went around and saw the house, everything. It was amazing. And it's one of those things, too, dude, where like, what kept blowing my mind is thinking about how all that stuff got there. Because I'm talking about you'll be in the middle of this house on God knows what floor after having passed through dozens of rooms.
It's gigantic.
And there's like 2 literal 2,000-pound pool tables.
Yeah.
In the middle of this room.
Yeah. Like, aren't they ivory? No. Yeah, they're ivory inlaid along
really?
Yeah,
Holy
I think
shit.
so.
But it's like those had to be hauled there by humans.
Yeah.
Either by pulleys or just manhandling or whatever.
And in that day, there wasn't an interstate with just a little off-ramp to go to the Biltmore.
Yeah.
You had to...
Well, the story my father-in-law was telling me is that they built an entire railway to get stuff there.
Yeah.
It's like money like that doesn't exist anymore. I mean, there's fuck you money out there.
It does.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
but nobody's using it the right way.
The top 1% own more than the bottom 50%.
Yeah. So there is that kind of money, but they're not using it in a cool way like that.
That's true.
Yeah.
They really aren't. They're all building bunkers, just so you know.
Yeah, they are doing
that.
Yeah.
They're preparing for the world to end while telling us you don't need to worry. It'll be okay because you'll be dead and we'll be fine.
Yeah, it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. So that was a really cool day. We went back to Burial again and some other places. Had some drinks and stuff. And then, dude, we had in the top 3 best meals I've ever had in my fucking life. It's at this place called Curate. It looks like it's spelled curate, but there's an accent over the E because it's a Spanish tapas bar.
What?
And holy fucking God, I can't even tell you how unbelievable the food at this place was. It was like everything they brought out was like, I'm experiencing new taste buds that I've never felt before.
Yeah.
You know? Dude, I know you don't eat pork, but you would have.
Well, I ate pork at the wedding because that's all they had, pulled pork.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, well.
Dude, they had... Okay, this is how crazy this place is. So the chef has pigs flown in from some like very specific like historic.
Are we talking like Iberico ham type of pigs?
Yeah.
Okay.
He flies the pigs over that are farmed on some specific farm by some like celebrity pig farmer.
I thought you were going to say celebrity pig. Like, Babe?
Miss Piggy?
Fuck. Awesome.
But yeah,
Miss Piggy, though, like, she really sold pigs out. Like,
man, that'd be
has
cold.
Miss Piggy ever been interested in another pig? No. She's after a frog.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right.
Like, she's, like, selling her community out, I feel like.
I hadn't thought about that. Huh.
Especially considering she knows karate. Like how many pigs know karate?
She's truly an exceptional version of her species. So they had these like specific pigs that had been like raised on a diet of acorns.
Yeah, that pigs sure do apparently get tasty when you feed them chestnuts and acorns.
Can confirm. Yeah. We had two different things. Like one of them was just like almost like a prosciutto, like a really thinly sliced cured thing. That was crazy. It was like nutty.
Yeah.
And then they also had this like grilled sliced pork thing that was. I seriously can't even describe to you how unbelievable this place was.
Okay, so here's the thing, because I don't eat pork normally.
Yeah.
But won't turn it down if
you eat it abnormally.
Essentially, won't turn it down if I'm hungry.
Yeah.
Like if it's the thing being offered and I am hungry, I am gonna eat it.
Ain't gonna be a rude boy.
So I've been thinking to myself, like, because pigs are smarter than dogs.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't eat a dog, but then I thought, like, well, what if I was hungry?
Yeah.
I probably would.
I'm starting to wonder if there's maybe some kind of like tie-in of how intelligent the creature is to how good it tastes. I really want to know about dolphin.
I have not heard of anyone saying dog tastes great, and dogs are pretty smart.
They're pretty smart, I guess.
Though, I mean, we all know dolphin is probably delicious. I don't know.
It's gotta be. We probably all accidentally had some in like.
Oh yeah, for sure. If you've eaten canned fish, you've accidentally had a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Dyed pink.
I'm wondering what maybe like a gorilla might taste like. I don't know.
Oh, God.
That just seems like that would just be too close to me. I don't know if I could do that.
That is as human. Yeah, like that's taking a step, man. If you eat a primate,
so.
you're like on your way. You're close.
Pretty soon you're gonna be in the Dahmer
But
Club.
I mean, cannibals have said that human beings taste like pork. So if you're eating pig, you're pretty much on the way too.
If it tasted like this stuff we had at Curate, I
might as well.
Yeah, seriously, might as fucking well. Unbelievable. Yeah, so we had ourselves just a great time, man. Just a good, relaxing, chilled out weekend full of food and drink and friends. It was great going out with our friends and just hanging out for the weekend and stuff. So, spring break!
Yeah!
Got back this morning. I am a little bit sleepy, but I'm riding it out for this cool 100th episode.
Numero
Unhundero.
Unhundero.
Steve, you been watching anything good this week, man?
Man, I watched something real great.
I want to know about
this movie. Suspiria took up a lot of time, like with the research, because there's just so much attached to it, and obviously we're not going to get into even half of it. But I did get a chance to watch Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood.
I not know what is.
It's a documentary that is basically a companion piece to Scotty and the Secret History of Hollywood book.
Okay.
Which was written by Scotty Bowers, who after World War II moved to Hollywood, and he got a job working at a gas station at 5777 Hollywood Boulevard.
Alrighty then.
And one day a movie star, can't remember who, I believe his name is Beach something, pulled into the gas station, and he was talking to him and obviously flirting with him. And Scotty is pansexual. Like, he is in no way embarrassed about sex.
Yeah.
And will have it with anyone, basically.
He gonna fuck it.
Yeah. So this guy said, do you want to come up and swim at my place? And Scotty knew basically what he meant was, you want to come have gay sex with me?
Oh, that's some slang.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't some slang, but he gathered exactly why he wanted him. Right. And so Scotty was like, cool, and went up with him and
sucked the shit out of that thing.
I believe he says that guy sucked him off. But anyway, so he got an idea. He was like, "Hey, I got a bunch of Marine buddies that I know will do these things."
Really?
So he brought them around the gas station, and like this was a time when morality police existed.
Right.
Like the Vice Squad was looking for homosexuals to bust, and he basically provided a service for about 30 years. Helping gay and lesbian actors to get to be able to have sex.
It's kind of like a sexy underground railroad.
It kinda like the thing I love about Scotty Bowers is his in complete lack of shame regarding sex.
Yeah,
like he has none whatsoever. And so when you hear him talk about these things.
Like what kind of things are we talking about?
Like having sex with or setting guys up with like Cary Grant and guys like that.
What about Jimmy Stewart? Was he mixed up in this?
Jimmy Stewart. Hey, now okay. Listen. Maybe I've had a dick or two.
Give it to Jimmy.
Yeah, like he just talks about a lot of big names and also like having a three-way with like Greta Garbo and some other big actress or something. And the thing is that like a lot of people they're part of the documentary is people approaching him at book signings and being like either telling him he's a liar or saying like, why would you do this? Why out these people? But like his reasoning is they're all dead now.
Yeah, it's not harming anybody.
It's not harming anybody, but everybody would say like, what about their family? And he'd be like, well, what do they have to be ashamed about?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like
It's not like they did something illegal.
Yeah,
they weren't fucking kids or anything.
Yeah, they were having gay sex.
Yeah.
So what? Yeah.
Right.
So yeah, Scotty Bowers, man, he's fucking interesting. And
sounds interesting.
Yeah, and the documentary, like the documentary crew was real smart. They catch a lot of things about Scotty that are real interesting. Like one of those things is that I think when they were filming it, he was 91. He's 95 now.
Jesus.
At 91, he's like climbing up a ladder and like pruning a palm tree and shit.
Damn.
Like, he's still a very physically active guy, but he's also got like he's started to become like a hoarder.
Oh man,
it's real interesting. Like there's a moment like he passes slowly by a toilet on the curb, and he's like, "That's not a good toilet. It's one of those low flow toilets." And then like later they come back and it's the next day and he's went back and gotten the toilet.
Why would you go get somebody's old toilet?
He's just become a whore. He's got like 2 houses and like 5 storage units just full of bullshit. Like, whoa. But he also some of that shit is pictures of him with some of these stars and stuff that have never been seen. Like some of the pictures, like he pulls out this like stack of pictures that are from the 50s.
Yeah.
And the whoever was doing the directing that day basically just asked him like, when was the last time you saw these pictures? And you're like, when they were taken.
Whoa.
So like, and you can see they're in perfect condition.
Real
like
Hollywood
50-year-old
history.
Pictures, Hollywood history. There's even like there's some video too of him with dudes. Like
some
it's
saucy
serious
stuff, I'm sure.
Oh yeah, him jerking off and sucking a dude off. Like it's if you are homophobic, you're probably not gonna like it. But otherwise, it's a great fucking documentary.
Where'd you watch it?
It's on Stars, I believe, but it's also like it's rentable on Amazon and iTunes and stuff.
That sounds pretty fucking interesting.
It just came out last year, like near the end of last year. So I haven't heard much about it, but I don't remember what I was reading about Clara Bow.
Mm-hmm.
Who I'm very interested in old Hollywood.
Yeah.
Clara Bow was someone who was accused of a lot of deviant sex acts, including having sex with the entire USC football team.
Wow.
But she didn't do any of that.
Okay.
But like a lot of those old Hollywood stories are about actresses being accused of insane things, but then in reality, like way weirder shit was going on in the background. Yeah.
Was the people that I'm sure were kind of viewed as like the more moral upright.
Yeah, exactly.
People.
Like the moral people were the ones doing the crazy like orgies and whatnot.
Well, that's that doesn't happen anymore.
No, yeah, no,
at all.
There's no way.
Dude, did you see that fucking SNL Weekend Update skit where dude was talking about how he's like, if you're mad at R. Kelly and want to quit listening to R. Kelly and Michael Jackson because of the stuff they did, I got news for you about the Catholic Church.
Yeah.
Holy
Pete Davidson.
shit.
Yeah,
that blew my fucking hair back, dude.
He's right. And
he's absolutely right, dude.
But Bill Burr said this too. Like somebody on a morning news show asked him, like, Bill, don't you think you've gone a little far with these Catholic jokes? And he was like, don't you think the Catholic Church went a little far? Like,
no shit,
like,
man.
The fact is that people just aren't saying it enough. More people need to say, like,
yeah,
they've been fucking kids, like networks of fucking
lives.
kids. That's actually part of the Scotty Bowers story. Is he was fucked by priests as a kid.
Shit.
Yeah, he was passed
man.
around by the priests a lot because he
worked.
Basically played into it.
Wow.
So yeah, like this shit's been going on for a long time, and they need to be called out, and they need to just fucking stop existing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Completely.
So people need to quit fucking supporting
it's
that
evil.
Shit,
Yeah, it's evil. You can have a cool pope all you want. It doesn't fix the evil.
No, huh? Yeah, because
he's not even that cool. He still says some stupid shit.
Oh, absolutely. So yeah, like continue being Catholic.
Yeah,
that's pretty fucking stupid. Yeah, it kills me, dude. That Weekend Update thing blew my mind, though. I was like, I can't believe they let him say this shit.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
Well, I think awesome. Pete Davidson just doesn't care anymore.
I don't think he gives a fuck.
Yeah,
I don't think he gives a fuck at all,
I mean, after he and Ariana Grande broke up.
I went and saw the Captain Marvel this week.
Oh, man, I am so jealous. Emily and I are going to go see it soon.
I figured you see it like as soon as it came out.
Yeah, we were going to, but we had the wedding. So,
yeah. It was good. I'm not going to spoil it. I'm not going to get real deep in spoilers since you haven't seen it. I don't want to reveal anything. It's good. It's not like in my top 5 Marvel movies or anything like that, but I do think that it will be a critical piece of the puzzle. So it's one of those that I'm just like, if you care about the Marvel universe, see it.
Like even without seeing it, my entire guess for Avengers Endgame and potential accidental spoilers is that Ant-Man and Doctor Strange are going to meet in the quantum realm and basically merge. But my belief is that the snap didn't actually kill half of all living beings. It created 2 alternate universes. One in which the people we saw survived, and another in which the people we saw die survived and saw the others not exist anymore.
And that could explain how you still have sequels with these supposedly
exactly.
Because that's one of those things that, now that you put it that way, that seems like one of those deals where it would almost be so fucking dumb of Marvel to be like, all these characters died, watch their sequels coming next year.
Yeah.
Like, that's so dumb.
So they have to, it has to be well explained and well set up, and they've set it up. Like if you watch Ant-Man and the Wasp, they do set it up the way I'm thinking it's going to happen.
I'm going to watch that with that in mind, because that's on, I think, Amazon or something right now.
Oh, it's on Netflix, yeah.
Okay, well, I'll definitely watch it.
It's, I mean, first off, it's fun and funny, and Paul Rudd and whatnot, but it does, it has a major connection to Avengers.
I'll tell you this, with Captain Marvel, the previews for it really do very little to show you what the movie's actually about. And once you kind of get into it, you'll understand why.
Well, I mean, it's Kree versus Skrull. I get that.
Okay, there is that.
Yeah.
But there's, I'll put it this way: like her sidekick, her supporting cast, is never really revealed in the trailer.
Oh, okay.
And they're the best part of the movie.
Okay.
Like the best.
Yeah.
Fucking great.
Minerva's in it, right?
I won't spoil anything.
Okay.
Not gonna say shit. I gotta say shit about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know she's got to be in it because...
Yeah, she's in it.
Because I play Marvel Strike Force, and every time one of the movies come out, they release characters from the movie.
Yeah, she's in there.
Yeah.
I'll say that the people that are saying that it's like this man-hate fest can go fuck themselves.
There's no reason to even respond to them. It's like when a child is throwing a tantrum. Just ignore them.
It is.
They're trying to get your attention. If you give them their attention, then they learn tantrums get attention.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's
your
exactly
tantrum is done, baby boy.
It's not ball-busting whatsoever at all.
It's just a fucking woman being a superhero.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And it's all these fucking twerps being like, everything has to be about me all the time. They gave me all these dozens of other movies, but this one doesn't have a muscle man in it, so it doesn't like me. Like, go fuck yourself, dude. Go fuck yourself.
Seriously.
It's seriously, though, it's like, it's not emasculating or ball-busting at all. Like, actually, I would say Wonder Woman is probably even more pro-feminist.
Oh, okay.
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know.
I think Wonder Woman's got a pretty strong pro-feminist message, especially when she's on Themyscira. Like,
yeah, definitely.
A lot of that.
So yeah, Captain Marvel's worth seeing. We'll talk about it more after you see it.
I'll watch it. We'll talk about it next week because Captain Marvel in comics and in some of the cartoons that she's been in, I really love Carol Danvers.
Yeah,
like that character is very interesting to me. I kind of think I know how the movie's gonna go already. But I'm not I'm going in open to whatever might happen. I know there's a cat involved. That's adorable, and the cat is awesome. Okay, cat's the new star of the Marvel universe. Yeah, I'll put it that way. Cool.
Now, Steve, with this being the special 100th episode of our show, I want to spend some time here, and I want to tell you, man. You know, the fun thing about this is not only does it give us an excuse to hang and chill and interact with our fans and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it's also exposed me to so many movies that either I hadn't seen before or movies that I had seen before, but I began to look at in a completely different light after we covered them on the show.
Yeah.
You know, because part of the fun of these things is, you know, with horror as a genre, it's definitely there to explore social issues and moral issues and science issues and all kinds of things through the guise of blood and guts and spooky stuff. And part of the fun of this show is that we like to really go in depth and talk about that stuff. You know, there's a lot of shows out there that I love, and they just kind of talk about the movie and stuff, and I love that. But my favorite thing to do on this show is to analyze and talk about these flicks. So by doing this show, there's been a lot of these movies that I have grown a deeper appreciation for because we've covered them on the show. So I say, as we slip into the good old preview, Palace Remix 666.
Welcome to the Preview Palace.
I want to go over our top 10 movies that we have gained a new love or appreciation for because we covered them here on Dradden Langley.
I love Dradden Langley. It's my favorite cop show.
Number 10 on our list.
Number 10.
I'm going to kick us off here with one that I had never seen before. You had seen many times, if I recall. But by getting to review it, I got to know it, got to learn it, got to love it. I'm talking about Jan Carpenter's In the March Madness.
That's it. Jan Carpenter's In the March Madness.
In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah.
Sorry, I read my notes wrong there.
Still Jan Carpenter, though.
Yeah, that one I did get right. That movie, dude, you know, we've mentioned it many times because we love it so much.
Yeah.
It is one of the most misunderstood and unappreciated movies, not only of Carpenter's catalog, but just of all of horror, in my opinion.
Yeah, and Sam Neill's maybe best performance,
probably
in my estimation, because he's off the fucking rails. It's great,
and just chewing the scenery up and having a good time with it.
So
he plays crazy really well.
Yes, he do.
You could tell you had fun with it. But in addition to that, man, just the themes that movie has of just predestination and fate and the way it intertwines religion and all that too, as well as the Lovecraft shit.
Yeah, it's so great. And
I love it.
Like we should do at some point a special video or something where we talk about John Carpenter's Apocalypse trilogy, because seeing it in the light of The Thing and Prince of Darkness really adds a different level to it.
Right on. I love it, man. Definitely one of my favorites that we have gone deeper on because of Dargan Lambler. All right, number 9 on our list is The Witch. The Witch, it's called.
They didn't get enough V's in there.
Yeah, I got stuck on them. Now that's a fucking movie.
Yeah, it is. And watching it for, like, I did watch it before, but watching it for the show and trying to, figure out what was going on instead of just liking it visually and liking how the story progressed.
Yeah, because
really trying to figure it out, man. There's so much going on in that movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and I'd seen it before we did our episode on it. I'd watched it and be like, man, I love this movie. This is awesome. But then whenever you're watching it with, knowing that you're going to be talking about it on the air for an hour or two or whatever, you want to dive deeper. You want to look deeper into what some of these things could mean And that was a pretty early episode of the show. And that was definitely one of the ones where it was like, oh man, there's so much to kind of unpack about this movie. It made me enjoy it way more than I had the first time that I saw it.
Yeah, definitely. And now every time I watch it, I see new things and think, man, we should probably do another witch episode.
No doubt, right?
There's so many movies, probably most of the ones on this list that we could do a second episode on and talk completely different stuff.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I definitely think so. I can't wait to see what's coming up next from what's the director's name?
Robert Eggers.
There you go. Mm-hmm. He's doing like the Lighthouse or whatever. Soon.
Yeah, and Midsummer and The Lighthouse are both coming out this year.
And Us. There's so much good stuff coming out.
Us looks so good, and we're definitely doing a mini-sode on Us.
I want to see that the night that it comes out.
Yeah, the newest trailer for it.
It looks nuts.
Oh, God.
Yeah,
it looks crazy.
Definitely stoked about it. Now, one that we covered really early on the show that I had never seen before, which is just total horror sacrilege, and watched it for the first time for the show, was The Exorcist.
Yeah, The Exorcist. That one's good.
Ooh, it's hot. Caliente.
Yeah.
And
Mr. Howdy.
Howdy.
Captain Howdy.
Damn it, so close. But no, man, that movie, as I mentioned before, really blew my mind and exceeded expectations. And going into it, I know that you said that you had seen it and didn't.
I didn't really care for it, but now I like it a whole lot more after watching it and really analyzing it and finding out that it's not like the level that people are scared on of The Exorcist that doesn't bother me. You could see that it's there, but the deeper level that like there is no God and this is just demons or whatever, or this is a God who just plays these evil games.
Or maybe ancient Babylonians actually had it right.
Yeah, maybe ancient Babylonians had figured it out. Yeah, like all of that added to it and made it just be like, oh, this is a good movie. Like the surface level that I wasn't interested in, that still works for a lot of people, and that's great.
Yeah,
like
but
that you can be like,
buttons.
I want to go to church, I guess now, or whatever.
Yeah, that's the thing about it is I think a lot of people watch it, and the whole scary part is the devil. But to a bunch of heathens like us, it's just like, is no devil not scary?
Okay.
Yeah,
the mean man, he's gonna poke me in the butt with a pitchfork.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh no, he's here.
But man, especially too when you research all the stuff they did to the poor fucking actors and actresses, and just the sheer psychological warfare that was being waged on the audience, and again, the people that are in the fucking movie.
Right.
It makes it such just a weird, demented thing to watch. Man.
It is.
It's amazing. It really is. I think like it's weird to say that it's underrated because it's obviously like the most hyped horror movie of all time. But I do think that it's underrated because there's a lot of stuff people miss about it.
Yeah, people love it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah, it's that kind of thing, man. So that's definitely one that made a big impression on me.
It's like when you got six-pack abs, but you also got a brain.
Yeah, it's exactly like that.
It's like, I'm up here.
Yeah, eyes are up here at my brain. I
have to deal with this a lot.
Six-pack abs, but I gotta.
People are like, oh, look at this sexy bastard. He doesn't know shit.
You think my abs are bumpy, you should see my brain.
Mm-hmm. The bumps are crazy.
I heard somebody describe dumb people as smooth brains recently, and that made me laugh a lot. Bunch of smooth brains over there.
Just smooth brains.
Number 7 on our list of movies that we grew to love through doing this show is Old Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2.
Yeah.
Frederick's Revenge.
Frederick finally getting his revenge.
It just kind of hit me. In the first one, he's only called Freddy, I think, once. Because at that time, his name was still Fred Krueger.
Yeah. Well, and she calls him Krueger a lot.
Yeah.
She doesn't call him Freddy.
Right.
Yeah.
How unclimactic and lame would it have been if it would have been called Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2, Fred's Revenge.
Fred's Revenge.
That does not have the same ring to it at all.
What if you remade Drop Dead Fred and just put Freddy in it? Freddy is her imaginary friend.
That I'm actually
makes her
I'm on board
trouble.
with that.
Yeah.
Trademark Dead and Lovely.
There we go.
That movie is awesome. I think it's the most overlooked installment of the Elm Street franchise.
Yeah. It's got so much going on. It's doing something way different than all of the sequels that would just be attempts at remaking Dream Warriors.
Yeah.
It's just got so much going on. Now again, I think Dream Warriors for me, edges it out as a better movie, maybe. But the fact is that like Dream Warriors was doing something different too.
Yeah.
Then all the movies after it kind of cheapen how good it is.
Yeah,
whereas with 2, it just stands out as so different that it'll always be good unless they screw that up somehow and make a remake of it. I don't know. Yeah. Well, and they make it just instead of it being like, oh, I'm pretty sure this character is gay, they just make it like super gay. Like he just comes in fabulously.
He's always busting out of closets. Here. I don't know.
Like, yeah.
But that's the crazy thing about that movie too. I think it's one of the most ballsy things in like horror film history to be like, hey, part 1 was this extremely successful blockbuster hit. Let's use part 2 and I don't know, maybe explore.
Yeah, let's see more
homosexuality and what it's like to live with a secret.
Like
what a crazy move.
The things that your dreams would be bringing up constantly, the things you suppress.
Yeah. Pretty ballsy move.
It is. It's a big move, and it paid off for us at the very least.
Oh yeah,
and it made money in the theater. So
yeah, it did.
That's all that matters for them.
Number 6 is a Get Out.
Yeah, Get Out. I loved Get Out when I saw it, but really analyzing it, and even that, like, there was so much stuff that we didn't talk about. Like,
I know.
After watching it again, I was just like, gosh, why didn't we talk about this and this and this? Yeah.
The first time I saw it in theaters, whenever it came out, I liked it. Like, I wasn't like head over heels nuts about it. Like, everybody was just raving about it, and I was like, it was good. It was original. But then whenever we chose to do it for the show, and I watched it with a lot more analytical eye, dude, it's like that movie goes and goes and goes and goes. Mm-hmm. It is extremely, extremely deep.
Yeah.
And that kind of exploration of just racial, I don't know what to call that, racial issues, racial problems and stuff like that, explored in such a weird and interesting way where you don't bring the KKK and burning crosses into it or anything like that.
Yeah,
like,
you don't. That's not the fear. The fear is the people who seem normal.
Yeah.
Who seem like they're on your side.
Yeah, exactly. Such a cool fucking flick. And again, I can't wait to see Us.
Dude, I am so excited for that movie. Like, that, the previews have been making it so crazy. Like, it looks like, I don't know what's happening.
No,
but I want to know.
I want to know more about it. What do you think about number 5 here on the list? The Black Coat's Daughter.
Oh, man. The Black Coat's Daughter is so fucking good.
Awesome.
That is a movie that is insane to me that everybody isn't talking about it a lot. Like,
I hardly meet anybody who's seen it.
Yeah.
Blows my mind.
Oz Perkins did a great job. We talked about it in one of our videos, his other movie, I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. That's also good. Black Coat's Daughter, though, is just insanely perfect.
Yeah.
Satanic horror.
Yeah, dude. I love it. And again, it goes straight for evil, you know?
Just pure Satan.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which I love that about it. But it's so cool, man. Again, it's not just the typical evil demon possession kind of thing either. It's explored in such a weird angle where it's like this is a really, really, really lonely person that maybe kind of wants to be possessed.
Yeah, that doesn't want to be alone.
Yeah. So demented and strange.
Extremely, yeah.
And it's got some twists and stuff in there, so it's one of those that has rewatchability to it. You know, a lot of those
there's a
flicks
lot
are
to catch on it. Right.
Yeah. But I'm with you. Like, I don't know how everybody doesn't talk about that flick.
Yeah.
I fucking love it. Definitely worth watching. I've been in the mood to watch it again lately, man.
Just do it.
I know. Okay, number 4. We got one that made a big old splash whenever it hit streaming. I'm talking about a little movie from Down Under.
I come from a land down under.
It's that Babadook, Duke.
That does kind of make it cuter.
Softens it up a little bit. That's somewhere like that sexy Babadook that people on the internet seem to like. That's strange to me.
Sexy Babadook and Pennywise.
I don't think those are things that we should conventionally be attracted to. I don't know. I don't mean to be judgmental. It doesn't work for me. I'll put it that way.
I'm not Bob Duke sexual.
I don't want no part of that Baba Dick. No, sir. No, sir.
It's cold. That's cold, but all right.
Dude, it's such a cool movie, and the way that it handles, talking about depression and grief and grieving.
Really dealing with hard-hitting shit and about not liking your kid.
Oh, dude.
the shit that parents don't want to say out loud, but like, that movie deals with it.
Probably the most unlikable child in film history, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Imagine if you were locked in a McDonald's ball pit with him and the kid from the Santa Claus.
Oh no.
Like, are you killing them or are you killing yourself to get away?
I'm just going to try to swallow one of those balls.
Yeah. Put yourself under, man. Yeah, dude, fucking awful. But also, like, legit scary. That movie is freaky as shit.
It really is.
Some great visuals in there. Even like, the weird stuff where, like, she's in the police station and she sees the coat that looks like the Babadook.
Yeah.
It's one of those that has you, like, peering into every corner and looking at shadows weird after you watch it, you know?
Yeah, and that's... I mean, because that's the stuff you're already scared of. That's the good stuff to play on.
Yeah.
Like, you're not scared of a cat jumping out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, if it did happen, you'd be like, what the fucking cat?
I don't have a cat. That's what I would say.
That is strange. Where did you come
Whose
from?
Whose cat is this?
Whose cat is this? That sounds like an awesome game show.
Yeah.
Where, like, basically you set up a big number of cats and have the owners stand at one end and just see if a cat will go to its owner.
Oh.
And if it won't, you keep the cat, I guess. I don't know.
It's kind of like those videos that pop up where it's like it's 10 people in a lineup and you guess who does what job for a living.
Right.
You just put the cat in the room and you're like, who owns this cat? Because the cat doesn't give a fuck about any of them.
Right.
It'd be the most impossible random game of all time.
It would go to one person and claw the shit out of them for some reason.
Yeah, and it'd be like, oh, that's that cat's owner.
Obviously.
Yeah. Okay, next on our list, number 3 here, we got a recent entry into the horror world, which I think is a certifiable fucking masterpiece of all time. I'm talking about Ari Aster's Hurdy-Gurdy.
Hurdy-Gurdy. The Hurdy-Gurdy. Ari Aster's rendition of the Hurdy-Gurdy.
Dude, that movie, again, we've gushed about it at length, but there's just so much to it. There's so much to it. I loved it the minute that I saw it.
Yeah, me too. And we did a mini-sode on it and talked about it. And then when it came out and I watched it again, I was like, there's so much here.
Oh, yeah.
There's so much.
Well, the thing about it is like the first time that I watched it, I loved it, but I was so fucking terrified of it. I couldn't really, like, appreciate it.
Right.
It was just like, holy shit. Like, I loved that because it scared me to damn death. Like, that movie scared me in a way no movie has ever even touched. But after we got to watch it for, the second time to do it for the show, and you're like, man, knowing going into it what's going to scare you about it and that you're going to be freaked out, you're just able to watch it with the eye for how much detail and how much nuance there is in the movie.
Yeah.
It is immaculately crafted.
It's got the element. I mean, because when you actually put research into a movie, but don't make the mistake of turning that research into exposition.
Right, yeah.
But
that's a great way to put it, yeah.
But include it. You include that research by having it in the background or having it be this symbol that you keep seeing or whatever. You encourage other people to research, and then as they're doing it, they're learning that stuff that you learned, but they get the experience of actually learning it.
Wow.
Which is more interesting than just being told.
That's pretty interesting that you put it that way, because that's a really fascinating trick that I think a filmmaker can use, is where they're like, if I display this little taste of information to you, and it makes enough of a mark, then even after you watch the movie, you're going to go and research it to find out more. And after you find out more, you're going to become more freaked out.
Right.
Than if I'd have just told you everything right there in the movie. Because like everybody that I know that has watched this has done the same thing as us. They went and they fucking checked out what is payment, what is the whole mythos of that, what is the the lost key of Solomon.
Any writers out there listening, it's a trick. Get people involved in what you're writing. Like if you I know you want to tell them everything. I know you've got it all mapped out and figured out. You want to give them every single thing, but don't. Like, give them the least amount possible.
Yeah.
Go Ryan Gosling in Drive. Like,
bare minimum.
He sat down with Nicholas Refn and took out as many of his lines as he could. he thought it made his character even better to not say much of anything.
That's pretty cool.
And it works.
Yeah.
Like, just do that with your writing. Go in and just kill your darlings.
Right.
Get rid of the stuff that tells too much.
Yeah.
And just show it. Show it, and people will get invested in it.
Right.
And then you've kind of cheated by now getting
Making them
people
do the
to
work.
want you to do something else.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that they can do the work again, because people love that experience.
And that's one of those things too that shows that the filmmaker has a level of confidence in what he's doing, to be like, you know what, I don't have to spoon feed them. Yep. They're gonna do the research on their own after they see this shit.
Yep.
Like, that is such a bold, confident move that I wish more people would
for
take.
A first movie. I mean, it's not his.
Good God,
it's
man.
not his first thing. He does have a short called Meet the Johnsons. That's apparently very fucked up.
Yeah, I heard kind of a synopsis of it, and it sounds very.
He did some other shorts, but this is his first feature length film, and it's amazing. Straight out of the gate,
dude. Midsommar is looking awesome.
It does. It looks great. It's got that Wicker Man sort of vibe to it. Yeah,
and it's about a cult. It's like, this seems like it's more openly about a cult this time. But considering how well he dealt with cult stuff in Hereditary, I already know that it's going to freak me the fuck out. So I can't wait to see. I think the previews aren't showing us even remotely a taste of what the movie's about.
I think it's just giving us an idea of what might happen. But yeah, I think previews kind of ruin a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
They give you the wrong idea about stuff.
The thing with Midsommar too is, like, the way that the trailers and all the promotional art, like, everything has this like festive, flowery spring festival. Like, nothing about it looks horrific.
No.
And that's making me more nervous. It's like, I think he's gonna have some stuff in there to contrast our immediate first impressions of it, and it's gonna be grisly and nightmarish. So
obviously there's no other way to go about it.
Number 2 on our list, Steven, is an old classic that was one of the movies that I wanted to do whenever we started the show. And we put it off for a while, and I'm glad that we did. I'm talking about none other than Sleep Away Camp.
Yeah.
Which is the king of all camp slashers.
It really is the king, I think so.
Maybe the queen. I don't know.
You know what? Maybe it's both.
Maybe it's both.
Yeah.
Spoilers. But dude, like, that movie, it's so easy just to watch it just for the schlock value alone.
Yeah.
And be like, whatever cheesy 80s slasher weird ending.
Like, it's the campiest in 2 ways. It's the most like a summer camp.
Yep.
And it's also extremely campy.
Yeah.
But also very, it has its depth to it as well.
I think there's a lot of stuff in there about, gender roles and sexuality and how confusing that can be. That I think a lot of people don't really unpack whenever they watch it.
Yeah. Because they're a bunch of kids in bare midriff shirts playing softball and calling each other horrendous names.
Oh yeah.
So like, you're not paying attention maybe to the deeper subtext.
Yeah, dude. But again, like I said, it's one of those that I loved immediately, but after we kind of broke it down, I am just now like absolutely nuts about that movie in every way. I think there's so much more to it than people give it credit for.
Eat shit and live, Bill.
Dude, in that soundtrack.
Yeah, it's great.
Just more of that. It's so good. I love Sleepaway Camp. Okay, number 1 on our list is one that we recently did, which is my personal favorite horror movie of all time. I'm talking about El Shining.
Yep, that's how they call it.
That episode right there, whenever we decided to start this show, I knew, of course, one day we would do The Shining. And I was honestly like, it's one of those things where I love the movie so much and there's so much to say about it that I was like so nervous about doing that episode for so long.
Oh yeah. I wanted it to be the perfect time to do it.
Yeah.
And we luckily had some lead up time to really get into it. But even then, coming into it, I was like, I don't know if I've looked at it enough.
Right. Because there's so many angles to analyze it from.
Mm-hmm. And it's a classic. Like, it's
widely regarded.
Some consider maybe the best horror film.
I do.
Maybe one of the best films.
Yeah, I do for sure.
Yeah. And I also do as well. So like, it was intimidating, but going into it, man, there was just so much that no matter how many times I'd seen it, no matter how many times I'd try to, figure out what was going on, so much stuff just kept coming up. And it would happen, like, if we did it again, we could probably do another 3-hour show and talk about completely different stuff. Yeah.
Well, because it's one of those ones where even though I have seen it so many times, I still feel like there is subtle stuff that I notice every time I watch it. And it's like I'm constantly scouring YouTube or other podcasts or whatever, and people are like putting out information and details that I hadn't noticed before.
Right.
It's cool to me to know that other people are as obsessed with that movie as I am, and are constantly on the prowl for stuff the same as I am too, because there's so much to it, dude. It's an onion of a movie. You can just keep peeling them layers back. It's exactly like Shrek.
Basically, The Shining is Shrek.
It's Shrek the movie.
Yeah.
Shrek the movie, the movie.
Shrek the movie, the movie. Uh-huh.
Because I think I've seen that. I might have seen that more than any other horror flick ever, which might be crazy because it's like 100 hours long. That and like the first Elm Street and the first Halloween might be some of my most watched horror movies ever.
The Shining or Texas Chainsaw Massacre probably for me are the two that I've watched the most.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What would you think a third would be on there if you were just to wager a guess?
In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You've seen it that many times?
Yeah, I saw it like so many times as a teenager. It was one of my favorite movies. I just watched it over and over, and now like I've watched it so many times as an adult.
Yeah.
Still love it.
It's awesome, man.
Yeah, every time, like the last time I watched it, I was like, every time Sam Neill speaks, it could be a meme. Like every single thing he says is insane and awesome and wonderful and like fits so many situations.
No doubt. So good, man. That's a good one. I would be really interested to hear from our fans on this one. I would love to hear from you guys, like if there are any particular movies that we've covered on the show that we've, either exposed you to for the first time or maybe exposed you to new facets of, like made you reevaluate movies that you used to not like, but now you do, or movies that you used to like, but now you don't. Maybe you used to love Final Destination or The Conjuring until you started watching our show. I don't know. Or Jeepers Creepers.
I would kind of hate to ruin a movie for anyone except for Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah.
I'm very glad to ruin that for people, because it's not ruining for them. It's letting them know.
Yeah. Like, don't support that.
Yeah. Just like, hey, it's probably a shitty thing.
Yeah.
But I don't like ruining a movie for anybody, but I also am not going to pretend to like a movie I don't like.
Yeah, right. So maybe after this comes out, I'll post a thread on our Facebook group, which you guys can find at Dead and Lovely Horror Podcast group show.
We're there.
Seriously, just fucking look it up on Facebook. You will find it. You don't need a URL.
Dead and Lovely on Facebook, I think we are the first thing that pops up.
Although, you know what? I sure hope it's fixed, because this is during the great Facebook, Instagram blackout of 2019.
Yeah, it started with Facebook, then it moved to Instagram.
I tried to make an Instagram post on the way home, and it
You think they're trying to prove a point to Senator Warren?
Yeah.
Because she said she wanted to break up the tech monopolies
she
like
did.
Google and Facebook.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. Because Facebook owns Instagram.
Right, yeah. I didn't know that.
Maybe they're like, imagine what you would do without us. You know what I did? Not sit on Instagram and Facebook.
You know what?
It didn't really end up hurting me at all.
Yeah. I know what you mean. It's been one of those things where it's like, I've definitely like played more guitar and been more productive. Made videos and stuff today, because I wasn't just nuking time scrolling through that shit. But at the same time, I was like, what if it never comes back and people can't find new Weekend Wank Shop tabs? I was like, oh shit.
Well, you could still use Twitter.
Yeah.
Twitter. I don't like Twitter.
I am too. Like, Twitter is just pretty much not.
I don't like Twitter. I don't like Facebook.
World. Yeah.
I do like Instagram.
I like Instagram.
I like Instagram.
It's my favorite social media for sure.
Yeah.
For sure, man.
But I have started to see a lot more on Instagram of shit that I just don't want to see.
Yeah.
Fuck, man. Can't we just have fun without assholes coming along?
That's why you need to follow WrestleBotch and WrestleBotch only, because WrestleBotch is the greatest feed on Instagram.
WrestleBotch and WrestleBotch only.
Dude, it's the best. You follow it, don't you?
No.
No way. Have I showed you?
No.
All that it is classic, like, interview things and, like, people doing bumps that have gone really bad.
Oh, no.
Mostly classic matches. There's newer stuff they put in there, too. But it's just all people fucking up.
Huh.
And they even do like Supercell Sunday.
Okay.
Where on Sundays they just post clips of guys like selling the shit out of moves. So there's a lot of like, like Stone Cold like giving people the stunner and like The Rock like bouncing off of his head.
Oh yeah, The
like
Rock
that.
did.
He sold
a stunner so good.
The best.
HBK real good at selling everything.
Flair.
Ric Flair.
Flair is
the
like
best.
salesman of the millennium right there. There's a lot of Flair stuff on there.
Yeah.
Dude, WrestleBotch, you gotta follow.
Okay.
It is the best, man.
Tell
them Dead and Lovely sent you. But yeah, I'll start up a thread or something on the Facebook group. I'd like to hear from you guys and see which horror movies, maybe we've improved or not improved or introduced y'all to or something like that. Do our 100 of episode.
Man.
Here on Drad
and Lord 100.
1 and 100.
4 from now, we're on our 2-year anniversary.
It's pretty wild.
Wow. Some wild and crazy guys.
What's the anniversary for 2 years? Is that your paper anniversary? What is it?
That's 1. That's the 1-year anniversary. I think 2 is maybe 10 or something, or aluminum, or
that'd be like a
rock you found on
can.
the side of the road. I don't know.
I think for that we buy each other a beer. Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Keep the anniversary real. I like that.
Keep the anniversary real.
Keep it alive, man.
Beer.
All right, now the subject of our show today for our 100th episode is going to be none other than she's a dancing queen, young and stuff. She's
Does they say young and lean? Only 17? Lean? I think so.
That's strange.
Maybe not.
Yeah.
I hope that's not it, because that sounds like you're going to eat her.
Either way, she's having the time of her life.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. You can dance. You can dance. Having the time of our life.
ABBA's awesome.
They really are.
You want to start an ABBA podcast where we talk about ABBA songs?
Yes. Right after
right
this.
Now?
Yeah. The end. Bye, guys.
See you guys later.
ABBAcast.
ABBAcast. So we're going to be talking about Suspiria from 2018. Of course, we covered the original long ago, I think on episode 8 or something like that.
Yeah, it was real early.
We were only just kids then.
Oh,
just
man.
Sweet summer
Squeaky
children,
voiced,
dude.
Welcome
to Dead and Lovely.
Yeah, hi, we're just talking about Suspiria this week.
We're on the island of misfit toys. Talking about Suspiria. That's probably one of my better impressions is the Island of Misfit Toys guy.
Yeah, that was
Island
very
of Misfit
good.
Toys. Yeah. But we covered the original a long time ago, and we did a mini-sode on this. I think it was in the 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was right when it came out last October, maybe.
Something like that.
Somewhere
I think it was in
there.
October, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. And whenever it came out, I went back actually and scanned through our episode. We did our mini-sode of it. Because after viewing it this time, which I hadn't seen it since we did the mini-sode, I left it and I was like, I wonder if this is how I felt the first time that I watched it.
Right.
So I went back and listened to our episode and, yeah, I was kind of like, I don't know how to feel about this.
Huh.
And I think that hasn't changed a lot since then.
All right.
It's pretty interesting stuff.
You don't know how to feel.
I'm really unsure because I love the original.
Right.
The original by Dario Argento.
He make it a pizza.
I mean, you know what?
He also make it a focaccia.
He make a focaccia. He make a ravioli.
Oh.
Sometimes he lay out the manicotti.
Capocol.
He lay out the capocol. He drink a vino.
Oh, he drink a vino.
It's a me, Dario. Why haven't we ever done that before?
We did. Well, technically, I did yesterday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, when D. Argento called into the podcast.
That's probably what was in my head. I was really...
It's me, Dario. I mean, a D. Argento.
I was real fucked up when I listened to it, so that just entered my subconscious.
I was pretty stoned when I made it.
So anyway, I love the original. So going into the release of this one, I was very excited but apprehensive because I treasure the original and its Technicolor dreamscape fantasy tale of
that's one
ballet and not really a lot of ballet.
Yeah, no ballet at all, really.
No.
More piano playing than ballet.
Yeah, probably so.
Yeah.
But honestly, I'd say just about as much dancing done by the ballet dancers as there is German guys in lederhosen in that restaurant that the piano player guy goes to.
Oh man,
that's actually
they're
the
doing
big
the
dance
slap
set piece.
dance. Yeah,
That's actually the biggest dance set piece of the movie. Now that I think about it,
like beer hall dance.
They're more choreographed than the ballet dancers.
They are, yeah. And that's something Luca Guadagnino wanted to bring to this movie was actual dancing.
Yeah.
And so he brought it full force.
Yeah, he brought the dance. He was like, you know what? I really love You Got Served. I really love
Step Up.
Yeah, I think he was a big fan of that one. I want to say he loved a dirty dance.
Oh, he definitely. Nobody puts baby in a corner. Abortion.
Nobody puts Susie in a corner.
There's an abortion in that movie. Do you remember this part?
You know what? No, I don't.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Dirty Dancing.
I've had the time of my life.
And I owe it all to Jerry Orbach.
It's a choice, not a child. That's the fourth verse you've never heard.
Get rid of that feeder.
Scrambled eggs.
Is that what Paul McCartney was getting at? Scrambled eggs.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he was like, just getting an abortion. Oh, a song would be good. Let me call up Johnny.
Boy, you know what? This all really puts a different kind of twist.
That wasn't a good Paul McCartney. Let me try this.
Okay, yeah, try again.
It's me, Paul McCartney.
That's a little more Lennon.
Oh,
it's a little Lennon-y.
It's me, John Lennon. Hello.
And you have to imagine.
Can you imagine?
I think Paul had more of a slow gait in his voice, and he kind of had some upwards inflection like that.
He sounds kind of like a Muppet, actually.
Yeah, kind of.
I can imagine his head a little flappy. Yeah. Anyway.
All the scrambled egg talk really puts a very different spin on the theme song of Frasier. Tossed salad?
Well, now, yeah.
And scrambled eggs?
I mean, tossed salad, we already knew what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Because nobody eats scrambled eggs with tossed salad, but maybe you eat somebody's butthole and then have some scrambled eggs.
Yeah, you have to have an abortion later.
Sure.
Boy, that's dark.
Not as dark as this movie.
This movie's pretty fucking dark, man. So going into it, I'll tell you this. I was hoping that it wouldn't be a remake, a direct spot-on remake. Because the original...
Because why make it?
Yeah, it's such a singular, unique vision, that movie, And we talked about it whenever we did the original Suspiria, but it's like, that movie is basically no story. It's basically all audio and visual.
Yeah, it's all audio and visual. It's about art.
Yeah.
And making something bright and vibrant and weird.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's an acid trip, fever dream, fantasy fairy tale of a movie.
Yeah.
That has one of the thinnest plots really ever.
Right. Yeah. A girl joins a dance studio. They're all witches. She burns the place down and leaves.
That's essentially all there is to it. That's basically all there is to it. But it's it's surrounded by this incredible Goblin soundtrack, which is like mind-blowingly sick.
Yeah.
And just steals the attention of every scene, but it doesn't even matter. Oh, it's the best. It's the fucking best, dude. And then the visuals are just so overpowering that it's like, witch. Oh, I love it so much. But it's like, it doesn't even matter that the story and dialogue and stuff are pretty much non-existent. Like, it actually does carry itself on the audio and visuals alone.
It does.
And so I was hoping...
it's not one of my favorite horror movies of all time or anything because of the lack of story, but it's also like the lack of story is something you don't notice as much because of all the other stuff going on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's enough to keep you entertained.
Yeah.
So I went into this hoping that they weren't just going to try to recapture that, because it's like you said, what would be the fucking point of that? Yeah. And whenever we saw it, I was definitely like, you know what? That was not the original.
It's not.
How would you describe what we were treated to in contrast to the OG?
Okay, so this remake it's more grounded in reality.
Okay,
both visually, musically, I would say the music plays more along with the...
It's much more organic, isn't it?
Yeah, it plays along more with the actual feel of each scene, etc.
Yeah.
But it also, despite the fact that it feels more realistic and more grounded, it's also more fantastical. It's more magical than the first one. There's far more magic in it. Like,
yeah.
In fact, what magic happens in the other one? Honestly,
I mean,
like, do they make that bat show up in the bathroom?
Oh, the bat scene.
Yeah, like,
yeah. I mean,
there's not a lot of magic going on.
There's an invisible Helena Marcos.
Who, yeah.
I guess they just kind of like poison her food and wine.
She kind of controls something with a hairy arm that we only see once.
I guess so. Yeah, not really necessarily tons of magic, exactly.
But there's a ton of it in this. Like, it happens pretty regularly.
A person gets nearly headless nicked.
It's very true.
Yeah, nearly decapitated.
Yeah.
Nearly decapitated.
Through the magic. And she survives through the magic.
She does that indeed.
Yeah.
And I have a theory as to how this movie was created, because I know to a lot of people that are fans of the original, they got really upset that this movie is such a obvious, very far departure from the original. But here's what they don't know about it. I went through the dates of production. I checked the calendars. I went back several years. Did the research here. It was actually written on opposite day.
Oh, shit.
Yep.
Well, that fixes it.
Luca Guadagnino is like, I want to write to the Suspiria today. Yeah. Oh, it's opposite today.
Yeah. He did it.
He made the calzone instead of making the pizza. He put the crust on the outside.
He inverted it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he showed you what's up.
Because when you start looking at, just some of the bare facts about this movie and the way that it plays out compared to the original, there's some that are very obvious, there's some that are less obvious. It is in every way the opposite of the original. And I think that some people could interpret that as disrespect to the original movie. I think you could also interpret that as respect to the original, to say the original movie did what it did so well, I'm not even going to try to retread some of that. So I made kind of a little list of some of the things about this that are complete opposites. I want to run them by and see if it's just my imagination or if you think it's there too.
Is it just imagination?
Okay, so in the original, the witches are a rumor, a whisper,
right?
A secret. And it's finally revealed at the very end, OMG, all of them, Horchus. They are real, they say. Whereas in this movie, it is just on Front Street. Here's a bunch of witches. Of course, there's the visual contrast.
Yeah. Bright primary colors in the original, no primary colors in this.
And I'll tell you, man, I think that the look of this movie is fucking gorgeous.
It is. And there's a lot of nature in this. Whereas in the original, almost every shot takes place inside of a building or outside of a building. There's not a lot of nature involved. With this, everything is a bit more natural.
Minimal dance, maximum dance.
Yep, those are opposites for sure.
Minimal plot. Lots of plot.
Lots of plot, yeah.
There's men. There's not men.
Right, yeah.
One is very short, the other one is extremely long.
That's true. Yeah, Suspiria is like an hour and 20 or something.
It's
hour
very
30.
short. Like, you could cut Suspiria out of Suspiria 2018 and still have a lengthy movie.
Yeah, you still have about 45 minutes or so. Yeah.
Even the dance styles couldn't be more different. The original is more this soft, sensitive ballet thing.
There's no reason for the dancing in the original, even.
Like, it's not there.
It didn't have to be there. Like, it didn't, and when it does happen, it doesn't. There's no meaning to it.
Right.
Yeah.
And in this, it's contrasted with a much more violent,
is about
visceral, and plot-wise important.
Yeah, it's about dance, and it's about its physicality and what it means and what space. It's about space and time, and it's about pain and all of the things associated with dance.
Right.
Whereas, the original, nothing to do with dance at all, except that it's involving a dance studio.
Honestly, like, the school is way more important than the actual dance aspect.
Right, yeah, the building itself is more important than
it could have just been a prep school or something. It didn't really have to be a ballet school or anything like that. And also, too, the last thing I have on my list here is the violence in the original is completely silly and unrealistic and over the top and crazy, whereas in this one, it is at times very realistic and fucking brutal.
Well, yeah, I mean, the contortionist scene is 3 minutes long.
It's long.
And then that's not brutal. The end of her being contorted and tortured.
Man.
Like, she's still alive at the end of that. Yeah.
And then they hook her.
You know what I did in regards to the original for this movie?
What did you do?
I didn't read about it at all because I don't think it has anything to do with it.
I don't think
there
so either.
are two movies that share a title.
I don't think it does any benefit to try to say which one's better.
Yeah, and they're not related. I mean, like, because the three mothers in the Argento films, Helena Marcos is Mother Suspiriorum, and like she's involved in a much deeper storyline and stuff. And in this one, she's not. Mm-hmm. So this is alternate universe. This is like, the New 52 in DC. This is a completely different thing that involves familiar names,
right?
And characteristics, maybe, but completely different types of characters.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What do you think about that cast of characters that we have in this?
Well, I mean, Dakota Johnson is amazing as Susie.
Yeah.
Like, she really knows herself from the beginning, and comes off very genuine. Like, the scene where she's told that she's being accepted in the dance academy.
Yeah.
Like, she gives a very genuine sort of reaction.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Stuff. But she's also very confident and knows she's instinctive.
Yeah.
She knows what she needs to be doing,
right,
even if it's not what's supposed to be happening.
I'll tell you this, like the first time that we watched the movie in theaters, I thought that her performance, well, in terms of her physicality, her performance was great, but in terms of like her acting and stuff, I wasn't quite sure what to make of it because she's pretty kind of spacey through a lot of the movie.
Right.
But after you know what you know by the end of the movie,
right,
and you watch this for the second time, knowing all along
that she knows,
who her character is, and she's like, like there's stuff that I even noticed about her this time around, where like whenever she goes in, and it's just after she goes into the school, already knowing that Patricia has left.
Yeah,
it's like she is very much powerful and very in control of.
Yeah, she does,
situation.
and she doesn't seem to be. I mean, she's interested in it as far as Sarah's interested in it, but she's not like, but what happened to her? She's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay.
So watching it this time around with what you know about her character, you already know who she is and stuff. I think her performance is a lot more interesting and makes a lot more sense.
It does.
The second time around.
Speaking of Full House, Lori Laughlin's in some trouble.
What an idiot!
Yeah, William H. Macy as well.
Now here I thought that our schools were really filled with our best and brightest, Steve.
You thought?
I really
strangely enough, you thought that Harvard and Yale and maybe Penn, the Wharton School of Business, maybe is putting out somebody who a professor might later describe as the dumbest student that he's ever had, and that guy might become president. Let's talk a bit about the production of this and why it came to exist. The rights to it were bought in like 2011 or so.
Okay.
With the intention to make a remake with David Gordon Green directing.
That did the new Halloween.
Yeah, is that who did it?
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. Anyway, he was supposed to direct.
That would have been
something
cool.
that would have been more of a faithful adaptation.
Okay.
Of the original Suspiria, and he kind of ended up leaving the project, and the people involved kind of ended up leaving the project behind. And Luca Guadagnino came along and grabbed up David Kajganish.
That's it. Nailed it.
Yeah, he's a writer who wrote the upcoming Pet Sematary remake.
Oh,
yeah,
interesting.
He hooked up with him and told him basically what he was thinking of, and they worked out this idea of setting Suspiria in the same time period, but actually making the time period matter. Whereas the original Suspiria, like, the time and place don't matter.
Well, it was modern. You know, I mean, it's modern for when it came out.
At the time, it's supposed to be modern day, and then the place itself was like the only place that really mattered was the dance hall.
Yeah, that's it.
Nothing else is important.
Yeah.
But this was more about making the actual history going on reflect something of what's going on in the dance studio, and also saying more about dance itself,
right,
and saying more about like these power struggles between women and what it means to be feminist, and can you be feminist and also want to be the one in charge of women? Like,
right. Yeah.
Can you be Helena Marcos and also be feminist?
Right.
So yeah, they dealt with a lot of those issues, and then Luca Guadagnino just grabbed some people from his movie that he had just made, which I can't remember what it's called. The Big
Call Me by
something.
My Name or whatever.
No, it's this is before Call Me by Your Name.
Okay.
Basically, the movie he made before that. He Dakota Johnson's in that, and Tilda Swinton.
Okay.
He basically just said like, "Hey, we're gonna make this Suspiria remake.
We're getting the band back together."
And so they both were gonna be in the movie. And like they ended up with this dense movie, like this very dense, like hard to penetrate if you don't know the whole context around what's going on. Like you can still see it as the story it is and get it in that, but like you don't see every connection they're trying to make. And this is basically, I would say, like a novel as a film, like not an adaptation, but I mean like this film has the depth that a novel has, where you can interpret and reinterpret and still be only halfway through understanding one little bit of it.
Right.
And so that's what they were going for. They wanted that, this sort of depth to it.
Which again is a direct contrast to the transparent, paper thin.
Exactly.
Plot of the original.
Somebody referred to this basically as an annotated somebody's annotations about the original, like somebody going through the original and being like, why would this happen?
Yeah.
Why? What is this tension? How would these things play out?
The footnotes make it twice as long.
Yeah.
As the original text.
Yeah. So that's what they did. They made it twice as long as the original almost.
Yeah.
And then also, they brought in Tom York to make music that most of the time works.
And this is another interesting.
Most of the time is really good.
And yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
And this is another interesting parallel in terms of the opposites that I was talking about earlier. So with the original Suspiria, Goblin did the soundtrack, and they shot the movie around the soundtrack.
Right.
He presented the soundtrack to them and was like, okay, make a movie based around this.
Yeah.
In this movie, I found this out recently, the entire movie was shot, and then Tom York did the soundtrack.
Right.
So it's literally the opposite.
Exactly.
Soundtrack came first, soundtrack came last on this. And anybody that knows me knows that there are a few bands out there that all the cool kids like that I just don't like. I would put a U2 on that list.
Oh.
I would put a Radiohead on that list.
Okay.
That's one of those bands, although I'll tell you this, I respect the hell out of Radiohead.
Okay.
Because the minute that I hear one of their songs or hear Tom York, you instantly know it's them. And I'll always have a level of respect for that.
Yeah.
Even bands that I really dislike, like System of a Down, I will say, man, when it's them right away, So I'll give him that. So I'm not really much of a Radiohead guy.
It's basically like I've been told this before. Somebody said, "I knew you were coming." Like your voice is extremely loud. It's obvious that it's you.
Heard you before I saw you.
Yeah, System of a Down. I knew what that was as soon as I heard it. Yep.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
But given that Johnny Greenwood did some great movie soundtracks, he did like what's it called? There Will Be Blood, and a bunch of other flicks and stuff. I was kind
Johnny
of excited.
Green is he's more of the one that builds these atmospheric sort of albums that they have, and I would that's the person I would think they would go to.
Right.
Tom York, okay.
Yeah.
Fine.
But the thing about Radiohead stuff that I'll say is, even though I don't really like it, there are elements of their music, and I mean the music as in not the vocals, that I really like songs like Pyramid Song and even OK Computer and stuff like that, have really, really fascinating musical aspects to them. So I was excited to see what he brought to the table. And I will say that maybe
mostly good.
70% of this is really good.
It's
and again,
the vocals.
It's the fucking vocals, man. See, here's the thing
it's
about
not,
it.
It's like, I will say this, I like Tom York's voice. I'm not saying it's his voice.
Yeah.
It's the fact that there are vocals.
It's the fact that there are vocals.
Yeah, they're just intrusive. They don't need to be there.
I completely agree. And it's so funny because, again, going back to the opposite day thing I was talking about, the original one is this crazy, ridiculous prog synth rock thing by Goblin that is so overwhelming and so intrusive and grabs all the attention.
Yeah.
And it's like with this, they said opposite, make it subtle, make it atmospheric, make it blend into the background and stuff like that. But then the crazy thing is by putting vocals on it, and also by Tom York saying, I should be the one that sings this fucking shit.
Right.
It actually makes it more obtrusive than the Goblin score. And here's the thing. The Goblin score to the original one is not instrumental. It goes, witch, 100 times in the movie.
It does.
But the fact is like, okay, when this movie is working so hard to set itself in a time period and be time period authentic, and even using a lot of filming techniques and stuff that are very 1977, snap zooms and stuff.
They tried to shoot on the same sort of stuff that Argento used.
Yeah, so. And even the aspect ratio and stuff is all old school and stuff. And then whenever it's soundtrack time and Tom York starts fucking singing, you go, oh, Radiohead. Got it. It's fucking Radiohead.
That's not something that would exist in this
movie. It rips you out of the time period. It does. It reminds you that this is a new movie disguising itself as an old movie.
Yeah, and the time that it is the worst is during the Witch's Sabbath, where it gets to this height of feminine power and energy. And then suddenly Tom York singing. It's like, why?
Oh, dude,
this is the wrong moment for your voice to be involved.
Exactly right. Yeah. Exactly right. It's like the soundtrack should have been mansplain.
Yeah. He does, one of the times he does vocalize, he does say the word magic, and I'm like,
come on,
that's
seriously,
just too clear. Like, it's too on the nose.
And why? I mean, seriously, why did he say, who should sing this? Fucking me.
Me. Yeah.
Like, have anybody else sing it. Have just some unknown chick singer do the vocal parts. Have there be no vocals would be the preference, really.
Yeah, that would have been better.
But seriously, having your voice, one of the most identifiable voices in music for the past 30 years, have him doing the vocals is one of the biggest mistakes possible. Like, I really fucking hate it. The first time that we watched it, and it was, again, at the Red Room scene at the very end, I was so intrigued and just blown away by all the crazy shit that was happening that whenever it got to the soundtrack and the vocals came in, I was like, whoa, her head exploded.
Yeah.
But this time around, again, knowing what was going to happen, and it gets to that part, and the soundtrack comes in, I was just like, God, fuck this soundtrack.
Yeah.
Fuck this.
Yeah.
Don't sing at me, dude.
Don't. That's just not the time. It is just, it is the exact moment when the only male involved is there to witness it.
Yeah.
And be driven insane by what he witnessed.
Yeah.
And then another male voice comes in. And it's bad. I don't want to beat that dead horse.
Well, which kind of goes into, again, some of the other male themes towards the end of the movie that just completely fucking missed the point. We'll talk about the epilogue later and stuff.
I got some stuff about the epilogue that maybe will make more sense. But
I will say cool stuff about the soundtrack. All the instrumental stuff is fucking sick.
Yeah.
All the instrumental parts are great.
They are.
And I love, too, that, again, going back to the dance themes and stuff like this, they didn't go with Swan Lake or Romeo and Juliet or whatever, really well-known typical ballet or dance soundtrack that you've heard. It's interesting, too, to notice that the musical performances and stuff that are done during Volk are in very odd time signature stuff. They're in
that
7,
stuff
8.
is all strange. And,
yeah.
I mean, it's all supposed to be. It's all She says that they want to break the nose of every beautiful thing.
Yeah.
They're trying to subvert everything with their movement and the music and
Very much so. So I found it interesting that for the dance performance, he deliberately wrote music in some of the most undanceable time that there is. Like anything that's in an over 8 time signature is just like, that's not a typical dance form.
Yeah. I mean, it's more geometric.
Yeah, it is. It's more angular, right?
Yeah, it's like, because, music is math. Mm-hmm. You're aware of this, right?
I've heard about it.
Yeah,
I've heard about it.
Music is math.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Exactly, but it is that more basic math that can get complicated with rhythms and things.
Sure.
But this, by having, the movement in space along with the music, it gets geometric and gets real weird. Yeah.
Which works very well considering that the kind of dance that they're portraying in this is not...
No, it's expressionist. It's not about rhythms as well. I mean, there are rhythms to it, but it's less about the rhythms and more about expression through body movement.
Right.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I caught about it this time around that I thought was really interesting is that again, to bring it back to the original, or really anything about ballet that you've ever seen, where it's all about this lightness and this femininity and this kind of lighter than air pirouettes and so on. In this movie, well, even like Susie's audition, for example, is done without music.
Yeah.
Because it shows you that if you strip away the music, these people are pounding their bodies against the ground. It's like the sound of like flesh slapping a hardwood floor is heard a million times in this movie.
Every time she goes to dance, she takes off her shoes.
Yeah.
Like she wants to feel the floor. She doesn't. She's less of a traditional dancer. And that's the thing, is she has no formal training. She is going off of impulse.
Right.
Like that's how she works. And because, her impulse is driven by the fact that she is one of these 3 mothers that have existed since before God and the devil themselves.
Yeah.
Like she writhes a lot. Mm-hmm. She hits the ground a bunch.
Right.
There's a lot more groundwork than you would expect to see, and it's just raw. A lot of every bit of what she does is very raw.
Oh yeah. And
seems improvised, but is very much planned.
Right.
Like every bit of it is planned, but it seems so bestial.
Well, and it shows you too an element of dance, especially ballet, that you don't really see portrayed very much, which is it's absolutely punishing on your body.
Yeah.
There are no lifetime ballet dancers.
No.
What's the oldest ballet
up your
dancer
toes,
you've
your
ever
knees,
seen?
everything, your arches.
Yeah, exactly.
Ankles.
Right.
Hips.
Even traditional ballet, which is supposed to look so beautiful and effeminate and lightweight and stuff, it's actually grueling as shit.
Oh yeah. Ballerina's toes. Ooh.
Bless y'all's hearts.
Yeah.
Bless y'all's hearts. Oh, man.
Bless them.
Bless them. Bless your toes. They're all fucked up.
Bless your toes.
Bless your toes. But I like that this movie shows that aspect of it, that it's not, you know what I mean? Yeah. All this pretty effeminate. There's no twerking in this movie.
There is none.
Little
whatsoever.
to none. Little to none.
Little to none. Some of the writhing on the ground might be construed as twerking.
Could be. Early impressionist twerk. But yeah, I think that's a cool way they portray the dance stuff in this. Again, couldn't be more different than the original.
Yeah. One of the major differences between this and the original is, as I said, is it exists in a history, and that history is one that a lot of us don't know well. Mm-hmm. We're talking about 1970s Germany, and so I did some research.
I'm glad you did. I didn't have time to, so I'm interested to learn about this.
I needed to understand what was going on here, and so what is going on in the background here is the RAF.
RAF.
Yeah, the RAF, Red Army faction.
Okay.
They were basically began with student protests regarding the fact that after World War II, the denazification of Germany failed. Tons of people in positions of political and economic power were former Nazi officers.
Yeah. So in other words, you're saying some people that were in power stayed in power.
Yeah. And in 1956, they made the Communist Party illegal.
So are you telling me that elections and regime changes don't just suddenly change everything overnight?
Yeah.
Shit.
Crazy.
Fuck.
Yeah, it's almost like when we do get rid of Trump, we'll still be fixing all the problems for the next 20 years.
And his fans.
Yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, so so the RAF had basically started these student protesters who wanted they wanted more actual denazification. They wanted some economic freedoms. I mean, what happens here in this is they've kidnapped this major what would you call him? He worked for the German Employers Association or something, which or United Employers Association, which is basically the corporate answer to unions.
Okay.
Where a bunch of people who employ people get together and say, well, we're not going to employ people if they won't accept this low amount of money.
Ooh. So it's like a union for the people on top of the food chain.
Yes.
That seems like that could be very brutal.
That's exactly what Sarah is talking about when she comes to her apartment the first time and she says, you don't know what's happening, do you? Like, she explains this, but like, she realizes like that just like is still foreign. Like,
yeah,
she as an American doesn't understand why this is a problem, that this person who's in charge of this is also a former Nazi SS officer. And the Nazis were notoriously not good about unionized work. Yeah, though there are a million Trump supporters out there claiming they were national socialists.
Jesus
that was
Christ.
just a name.
Yeah.
They weren't socialist in any sense of the word. They were corporatists.
Right.
They were following corporate overlords.
Yeah.
And, corporate overlords love wars. And if they involve the whole world, all the better.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I mean, that. Not to get too deep in the weeds, but World War II made a lot of money for IBM and a lot of other companies you would think of as maybe not being war profiteers.
Yeah.
But they were. They were making tons of money off of Hitler.
Yeah. Dang.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, the RAF had kidnapped some people. They had taken hostages on a plane, a Lufthansa flight, something, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And were demanding the release of these 3 prisoners who had been involved in kidnapping that guy.
Okay. Kidnapping the worker.
Yeah, the
guy.
employers union guy.
Top of the food chain fellow.
And what ends up happening is that the terrorists, they shot the pilot and threw him out of the plane, and they covered all the people in alcohol, and they were going to set them on fire, and they ended up all getting killed, and then 3 of the 5 people in prison ended up killed. Supposedly a suicide pact, though the conservative groups owned the media at the time, so
probably not.
If you go to read about this RAF stuff, like, it's hard to find something that sounds neutral. It's all just basically like, oh, they were terrorists and they were all wrong and whatnot. But this movie, I think, makes pretty clear that maybe not.
Yeah,
they probably weren't wrong.
Interesting. Yeah, that's not exactly in the old homeschool textbook, Steve.
You know, it's not in the regular. You know what? You know what you missed at regular school was being told that carrots help with your night vision.
Right.
Even though that's not true.
Wait, what?
Or that, George Washington chopped down a cherry tree.
He did.
With that's what you need to teach kids, instead of the fact that George Washington didn't want to be a king, and that it was important to him that presidential power be in check. Like, those are the things you'd think you'd teach history, but no, just like he couldn't tell a lie.
Oh, got it.
What the fuck? And he had wooden teeth. Important. Anyway, but yeah, this is all important stuff that we all should have learned. But yeah, Germany was going through a rough time at the time. So there's this chaos going on that is about abuse of power.
Okay.
And about the ability of a generation to grow.
Okay.
Like,
all right.
can a generation, like we're seeing it here in America right now. Baby boomers have proven that they won't grow. Mm-hmm. They're not going to change.
Right.
They're not going to become better.
Right.
They want the worst for the future.
Seems that way.
Like they think that they want the best by, whatever stupid logic they have.
Right.
But we know their logic just doesn't work.
No.
It was the same situation here. Is that the logic of the Nazis that used to run the country should still be running the country? That doesn't work.
No.
Also, real big in here that Luca Guadagnino really hit on, I don't know if they intended to, is two things that we need to relearn here in America. Bad things, Nazis, and walls.
Those are two very present themes throughout the story, right? You see the Berlin Wall about 1 million times in this movie. It is located right outside of the doors of the school. He goes
through the border several times, Dr. Yeah, like this movie is very highly political in a way that the original is not in any way political.
No,
there's
not
nothing
in any way.
to it.
Yeah, it definitely does paint a picture that I think is interesting because, well, we've talked about it before where it's like whatever time period you're living in right now seems insignificant or whatever.
Yeah.
But then whenever you go back and you study the history books or you watch movies that were about that time period or things that happened in that period, you realize how monumental and important that they were.
Right.
And I think that's pretty interesting to see with a movie that was made in when was the original made? 77, 78? Okay, 77.
77, yeah.
Versus a movie that was made in 2018 about 1977.
Yeah.
And the things that were going on. Like back then when that stuff was going on, maybe it was just like, I don't know, man, whatever, crazy fucking terrorists are doing some stuff. I don't know.
Yeah.
But nowadays we look back and we're like, oh man, that's some crazy
that was important.
Important shit going on. I think that's kind of an interesting thing to see that you only get with that, several decades of time to reflect back on that time period.
Yeah, I think so, for movie. Sure.
Now,
though, I mean, I think a lot of our hindsight that matters the most is when we're wrong.
Sure.
Like when we look back on things and realize how we didn't understand it. Because when you look back on things and you did have it right, like there's nothing remarkable about it.
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
Like,
so, yep, had it right.
Yeah, like in 20 years, when somebody starts talking about the Charlottesville rally, you'd be like, yeah, those people were fucking assholes.
Yeah, fuck those
and
guys,
then somebody standing near you might go, wait a second, they weren't they? Wait a second.
Hang on.
Both sides didn't have good people.
Yeah.
One side
Just
had
one
only
side.
bad people.
Yeah. Oh, shit.
That's going to be interesting.
Yeah, no kidding, man. I'd say maybe in like 30 years we get like an opera remake that takes place at...
I can see that, yeah.
Oh, man. So all that interesting historical stuff that was absent from the original and put into this movie is there for...
it really
why?
just... Well, okay, so here's the thing. Okay, this... Man, I have so many things. I gotta...
I want to know, because I want to understand, man, because I
Here's
really
the thing I keep
struggle with
thinking
this.
of that I want to bring up, and that is geometrical patterns that are very important in this movie.
Okay, right. There definitely are quite a few.
Yeah, and when you look at... I paused and read every single page of Patricia's diary that I could. And there are a number of geometric patterns.
Yeah, I noticed that, like the web of names, and even like there's some ones where it's like bodies that are forming certain shapes and stuff. I was interested in that. I just thought she liked Tool a lot.
She does. She's a big fan of Tool.
Open your third eye.
So one of them is two pentagrams laid over each other, pointing in opposite directions.
I would call that a tentagram. Tentagram.
So
5 plus 5.
So this tentagram. So this represents normally in traditional ritual magic,
Look out.
Aleister Crowley type of stuff.
Magic with the K.
Yeah, with the K.
Got it.
This usually represents a union of opposites.
Okay.
Where two opposing forces are necessary for each other to exist.
Okay. Again, opposite day.
Yeah. And so what we're seeing in the real world is this union of opposites, which is the RAF, this communist organization, and then the status quo, which is essentially at its heart Nazi organization that has just survived past World War II. Within the coven, we have two factions.
Okay.
We have the people who are following Madame Marcos and the people who are following Madame Blanc.
And this is kind of represented by the vote that we have very, very early in the movie where they're voting for a new leader of the coven.
Exactly. And so that represents that same balance. And in both cases, that balance is being shifted. Things are changing. The unity is starting to fall apart.
Right.
And in the situation in the real world, what happens is the RAF gets wiped out and the Nazi regime gets to basically continue controlling things. What happens in the coven, though, is that Mother Suspiriorum, Susie, she destroys the dynamic. She's a savior in this situation. She comes along as a savior and shows that dynamic doesn't work. That it's not about the balance of two opposing ideas. That it's about this one all-knowing
unification.
Yeah, this one all-knowing ideal that brings everything together and eliminates the need for two sides.
And it's not this versus that, it's us.
Right.
Yeah.
Though that can be seen in a second way, which is a dictator.
It very well could be that.
So it's either a unification through each person being valued, which is what I think that we get from Mother Suspiriorum. And what we see through Susie is that she shows compassion. Like, yeah, her personification of death is exploding the heads of all the Elena Marcos people. But she's also compassionate towards Patricia and Sarah and allows them to die painless deaths. She is compassionate towards all the other dancers who are just a part of this without being a part of the witchery.
And to Dr. Klimmer.
Yeah. She not only saves him, but allows him to be absolved of his feelings of guilt.
Right.
Which is what we'll talk about why I think that the epilogue does kind of work. But so this movie is really about not accepting the idea of two counteracting forces being a balance. That's not a balance.
Okay, I see.
When you have two counteracting forces, what you have is a war. What you have is a struggle.
Okay. Yeah.
When you're all working toward one goal,
that's balance.
And
that's interesting when you also play into balance obviously being such a essential skill in dance, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's part of stuff.
Part of the narrative, yeah.
I wish I could get into every bit of this because, like, Patricia's diary, she has writings that are about, like, dance itself and about space and movement and time. And, like, there's so much going on in there that, like, she's obviously learning from Madame Blanc and learning from dancing, but also probably getting from Helena Marcos, trying to get into her head like she does with Susie. So she's getting these flashes, these images, and she's getting all this stuff, and you look in her diary and it's chaotic, but there's like a lot of things that run through that she seems to be focusing on. Balance, especially with the geometric figures and things, and dealing with dance. Balance is one of the biggest issues here. So this movie, in the end, is about discovering some sort of balance, discovering some sort of way of counteracting or destroying counteracting forces.
Well, that's interesting too when you look at those aspects of something that we were talking about before we started recording, which is even the difference between the two mothers that are up for election, at the head of the cover there of Madame Blanc versus Helena Marcos, whereas Helena Marcos is this disgusting mutant.
Yeah, she's got like hands on her upper arms and stuff. Like there's a hand just hanging off right here.
Yeah.
Did you notice that? It's
it's
weird.
Really gross.
Yeah.
It's really gross.
She's just made up of parts.
Yeah, and she's riddled. They describe her as being like riddled with disease on top of disease, and she is obviously fleeing from death, trying to prolong her own life.
Right.
She has I would say, a sense of self-importance to be like, these young dancers need to come to the school and die so that I can take their host, so I can continue my work.
Yeah,
there's a certain
and a lot of them
there.
do, because like you can tell that, like, not only the scene where we see in the basement where Sarah finds Patricia, and she's all like rotting and stuff. You see several other girls in the background. Like there's the one girl with her feet cut off. And there's like another girl like doing something that looked kind of like twerking when you can see.
Really? I didn't see that.
Yeah, when you can see Helena Marcos for just a brief second, like there are a lot, and then like
I know what you're talking about.
Then there's like a painting of Helena Marcos and Madame Blanc, and it looks like it's made out of skin and hair and blood.
Yeah, it's really gross looking.
Yeah, and then they're all wearing those hair shirts at the end that come from the hair of the different girls who were going to be Helena Marcos's new body.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Pretty fucking freaky. Yeah. It's freaky. Whereas in contrast, you have Madame Blanc.
Yeah, she's just this supportive dancer. Like, really empathic. Like, I mean, she's a telepath. She can read minds. They all can
transmit
talk telepathically
and stuff.
But yeah, she does that. She can transmit dreams, and like she can calm people. She like does that several times. Where she just sort of calms people.
Yeah, she puts her hand like down the back of Susie's like leotard. And just like chills her out and stuff. Yeah, it seems like she is very much in contrast to Marcos. Like those two characters.
Helena Marcos is struggling for power, and she just has it basically, and doesn't want it. She doesn't want to be in charge really, as much as she just doesn't want Helena Marcos to keep taking her dancers and killing them. Yeah.
Well, and that contrast is even more interesting when, like you said, you have the weird, gross, like Squidbilly meets Jabba the Hutt appearance of Marcos.
He does. He looks like Granny from Squidbillies and Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah. Versus Madame Blanc, and she just as an actress in real life, she has such an interesting featureless, androgynous look about her.
She the way that she portrays this character is she's great. I mean, we know Tilda Swinton. Nobody's learning that Tilda Swinton is great by me saying Tilda Swinton is great.
Right, yeah. But she's fucking amazing.
She's amazing. In this movie, she when I tried to write down the way that she comes off, I wrote effortless but practiced.
Right.
Which is those things go against each other. Like somebody coming off as effortless isn't practiced. Like they don't think about it, they just are. But like that's the thing, is that she seems so effortless, but then like even the way she smokes a cigarette, like it's a dance. Like everything she does is like a dance. Every movement she makes is like a determined movement, but she does it so effortlessly.
Yeah,
like,
and you never even really see her like dance, but she has a really fascinating command of her own body.
Yeah,
a lightness and weightlessness about her. You described her as being like somewhat of a white witch.
She is a white witch, and this I kind of gathered from reading stuff about the three mothers in the Argento films, is that Helena Marcos at one point went up against a white witch who was trying to take her out of power. And I think that they were trying to do that with this. It says in Patricia's diary that she had another dream about, I wrote it down, dreamt of Madame Blanc again. She was a white-haired witch, and I was her servant.
Oh, shit, really?
And she does white witch stuff, healing, calming, like giving Susie the ability to more accurately dance and to jump higher and stuff.
She's a paladin class.
She's a paladin, yeah. She's got buffs and she's got heals.
Yeah, exactly right. You pointed that out. I was like, oh shit, she's like the Ares character here.
She's the white witch in this, and Helena Marcos is the dark sorceress who is
high offensive spells.
She's got high offensive spells. She basically heals by taking.
Yeah. She's kind of a tank in that way.
Exactly. So exactly.
Classic RPG shit happening in this movie.
Seriously, I'm probably never gonna get my Harry Potter MMORPG.
Yeah.
But why not Suspiria? Why not you?
Oh,
can you imagine that?
And I'm on board.
Welcome to the dance hall.
Yeah,
there are things that are going on. You'll figure it out. Da, da, da.
But it also has like DDR sequences in it. Like
DDR
you gotta
mini dance, games. Obviously.
I'm so very on board with this game.
Yeah, that would be fun. The
soundtrack
Suspiria
by Goblin.
video game. Oh, of course.
Yeah, obviously. Way more danceable than the Tom York soundtrack. That's for sure. That kind of duality and stuff that you're talking about is interesting, and especially when you look at the political forces of the RAF and the old German Guard going up against the waging power struggle that we see within the school. That does make a little bit more sense to me, because the first time through I was like, is all this Bader Meinhof stuff really that fucking important? And all this RAF stuff, I'm just like, why the fuck? Like, did you want to tell a story about a ballet school full of witches, or did you want to tell a story about Germany? Like, those two things I don't really see as like, you can do both. Why can't we do both? Like, I don't really see that very much. But when you look at it in terms of the duality, like you're talking about, that is definitely interesting.
Yeah.
I think that maybe you still could have got away with not putting any of the Bader Meinhof stuff in there.
Well, then what would it be? It would just be a claustrophobic movie.
Yeah.
Like the original.
Exactly.
Man, the original's not that good. It's not good. Like, it's the original, like, reading that there is going to be a remake, the only thing you can think of is it's going to be like the original, because the original didn't have enough of a story for you to do something different with it. So, yeah, like, I think they had to add in political or some sort of context to take it out of the dance hall to give it more of a feel of depth. But, I mean, they could have picked any other political struggle. Like, we're talking about European director here, though, so for him, maybe he thought this is more well known.
Yeah.
Like, but Americans,
we don't. Whoa, yeah.
What history?
What's the deal with history?
What do you mean that all the people involved in the 9/11 hijackings were Saudi Arabian?
Hey, I'm walking here. I'm in America. Let's talk a little bit more about Tilda Swinton too, because she's not just Madame Blanc.
She's not. In fact, she's also Helena Marcos. Which is that duality again.
Right.
Yeah. But then she plays a third character.
That she does.
She plays Klemperer, the doctor.
Yeah.
And I think we all, when you and I and Kate saw it at the theater, we all three kind of were like, pretty sure that's a woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, Klimper comes across immediately as having feminine features and his voice
especially.
Yeah.
I remember even whenever I saw the first preview and it showed him like, you know, reading the notes and stuff like that about the three mothers, I was like, that sounds like an old woman. Like it doesn't sound like an old man talking.
Right.
And whenever we got into the movie, I was like, yeah, that definitely does not sound like an old man. And then as you get into it and there's certain scenes, like, here's one thing, man, like the kind of special effects makeup that we can do now to make young people look old, like Bad Grandpa or whatever. It's pretty fucking amazing.
It is.
It's incredible.
It really is. Because, I mean, because I sort of realized that this is a woman, I started trying to figure out, like, well, why would they do that? Why would they have, like, I remember expecting it to be revealed that, like, the reason why Anka, his wife, was separated from him was because they were actually lesbians.
Yes, I kept waiting on that as well. And I think that would have been that
would have been
neat.
an interesting twist that would have been maybe had some excuse as to why you have a woman playing this man.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not really positive why. Like, I get why you have her play Helena Marcos and Madame Blanc.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's cool. You're setting them up as polar opposites, but also saying that they, at their core, are very similar.
Yeah. But then seems pretty superfluous.
Yeah, why do that?
I don't know. Yeah. Because, like, as great as the makeup is, and this is one of those flaws where they just should have set the scene somewhere else. One thing that you can't do very well at all when you're dealing with that much facial prosthetic is show people eating food. There's something about the way that these prosthetics wrap around the lips that
I hated that.
It never moves right. And so whenever she
also makes a lot of loud mouth noises.
It's like
in
a
that
tick.
Scene
yeah.
Because she can't, like, eat like
Probably.
normal because of the prosthetic. So it's like
yeah. It's like I'm eating without moving my lips.
Yeah.
Which is very, very difficult. So, like, that scene where they're in the cafe and they're talking stuff, it's just like, that to me was just ultra, like, I can't even suspend disbelief that this is an actual old man.
So, yeah, I wonder why they did that. Like, I've tried to find some meaning in it. Like, he does serve as the witness to this ritual.
Yeah.
But
why?
Why, yeah.
Like, I don't know, man. It's one of those things where I'll say it's neat, and I think that it strengthens the all-female resolve of the cast because other than Klimperer, like, there are no males in this movie, like,
there's the two policemen who really are
non-existent.
They're in one scene where they talk to him and basically just say we didn't see anything, because when they go there, they're bewitched and they're just standing there not even recognizing what's happening to them.
Yeah, and they're emasculated and their penises are made fun of.
Yeah, which is like a nightmare for a man, right?
Oh my God.
Like three women just standing around laughing at your penis. Yeah. That's what they were doing.
Holding pointy hooks.
Yeah, just cackling at his penis.
Hard pass.
Ooh, not interested.
Yeah, so having...
You ladies want to have any other type of fun? We can. Let's just not play the laugh at my dick game.
Yeah, no hook play, please.
Please.
None of that. But, you know, having Tilda Swinton play the role of old Dr. K...
Yeah.
It's neat in that classic film way of...
Yeah.
You know, girls played Peter Pan for so long and stuff like that. Like
right, her playing... Yeah, that's very interesting. I think...
But God, dude, does it make it better?
Well, here's the... Okay, so... A lot of this deals with psychoanalysis.
Okay.
And I think maybe there's something there because Klimper he's a psychoanalyst who's working to help Patricia. But a lot of things that happen in the movie bring up other psychoanalytical perspectives.
Like, my God, Niles.
Yep, that's the one. For instance, he writes down the word simulacrum.
Simulacrum.
He writes down the word simulacrum.
I think that's a type of instant baby formula, I believe.
That's it. That's what it's for.
Simulac. He was making a grocery list.
Hey,
Right?
yeah. Just bring me some of that simulacrum, Mom. No, simulacrum, he writes it down whenever he's like analyzing her when she's talking and she's sort of manic and moving around the room. He just
Patricia.
writes down the word simulacrum.
Yeah.
And when I saw it immediately, I was like, why did he write that down? Like,
$5 word right there.
it is. I mean, it's a word, like studying literary theory. I came across it a lot. But to me, immediately it was like, okay, what does it mean in this instance? So I did a little research.
I don't know what it means at all. I was homeschooled.
So basically, from like, okay, so do you know the allegory of the cave? Plato's allegory of the cave.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, you have a man. Basically, yeah, if you were to put a person in a cave and have them facing toward a cave wall and have light coming in from behind them, you basically tie them to a chair so they can only look forward. Light coming in behind them, and you allow shadows to pass in front of the light. The person will begin to believe that the shadow world that they see is reality.
Right.
Right. That's a simulacrum. That's a distorted truth.
Which deals with our limited ability to perceive reality only by how many dimensions we can see it in.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is also interesting when you consider the multi-dimensionality of some of those sketches and stuff in the Notebook.
Right. Yes. So he's, in one sense, he's writing down that she is expressing a truth about what is happening to her, but it's distorted.
Okay.
That she's saying it in terms of witches and spells, but in reality, it's just these women have done something to maybe mess with this fragile girl, and she is only able to experience it in the terms of witches and spells.
Well, and that's always been kind of the classical historical perspective, right? Where it's like, oh my God, this woman is powerful and skilled.
Right.
Probably a witch.
Probably a witch.
Yeah.
Exactly.
She brewed beer, which made me intoxicated.
And it was great, so probably a witch.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
I was enjoying my life. Probably a bad
witch.
thing. Yeah.
Oh, the church.
There's another way, though, that people like Baudrillard and Deleuze have looked at it as...
Okay, French people I've never heard of. All right, got it.
Well, these are people who were active around the time too. We'll also talk a little bit about Jacques Lacan, who's mentioned specifically in this movie. But these are all people who worked in these areas, and Deleuze and Baudrillard, they looked at the simulacrum not just as a distorted truth, but as a hyper reality. Like it is a reality, but it's just taken to extreme. So her reality is that these things are happening, but she expresses it again as a distorted truth. So when we talk about what's going on with this, with her, with Tilda Swinton playing the psychiatrist, she is in herself playing a distorted truth. Like this is a hyper reality where at the core she is this feminine energy, but in her exterior she is masculine in appearance. So the simulacrum that he's noticing with Patricia's distorted view, that he believes is a distorted view. Well, I mean, he gets chided later for that by the witches as they're taking him to witness the witch's Sabbath. What he's recognizing in Patricia, this lie she has to tell herself for the world to make sense. He's also embodying. He is a lie. Okay. Like, we know it's a woman. And I don't think that we're supposed to believe that it's a man. We see it as a woman in makeup as a man. I think that the psychiatrist is supposed to be this hard to grasp concept where he's kind of, I don't know.
embodying the dualities of male
Yeah,
and
he's
female.
embodying all these dualities,
Yeah.
but
he's old and young at the same time.
yeah, he's all these things. Like he's all these things at once, and he sort of serves as a cipher for everyone else. Like he is our way into Patricia.
Mm-hmm.
He's our way into each of these characters.
He's the exposition machine.
Yeah,
For sure. He's the one that's watching the movie with us, trying to unravel the things going on inside of it.
but again, I'm torturing myself trying to make all that make sense, because again, I'm not positive that matters. Like,
that's the thing. And you know, it's at the end of the day, the thing I just keep asking myself, it's like I can sit here and convince myself that everything you just said is exactly why they did it.
sure.
And then at the end of the day, there's still just that simple part of my brain that goes, but did it make the movie better?
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I don't know that it did.
I
don't know that it added
don't know that it
much
did.
meaning. I don't know that it did. But
that's one of those things, dude, that I'm always going over with people whenever we're talking about like songwriting and stuff like that.
Right.
It's like, yeah, you can have that fourth verse in there. You can go back to the chorus again. That's neat. Does it make the song better? You know?
Right.
Like there's a lot of those things where, yeah, you could just nip it out and the song wouldn't be any worse.
yeah, you're not going to lose anything.
No, exactly. And that's just kind of what I kept thinking about with this movie, where I'm like, if they just had an old man play that, would it be not as good? Because to me, I'm just like, it would keep me from going, she's a man, baby. Because it was distracting to me. To me, I just thought that it was one of those choices that was just very distracting, especially considering that it's in a movie where everything else visually is so compelling and so interesting and so well done.
Right.
Partially due to their devotion to practical effects.
Right.
I just don't know that having an actress play an old man made the movie better.
And it
I
not
don't think
paying
it
off.
did.
Like,
Well,
if it had paid off by, as we said before, we find out that it is
actually a woman.
Yeah, that Dr. Klimper is actually a woman.
I know.
Like, then it would have been like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, I was noticing this, but I wasn't for sure on it. And now that you say, it's like, yeah, I get, all those things that have happened up to this point to make it clear that that's Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
But instead, all those things weren't supposed to be making it clear it was Tilda Swinton. And they tried to pretend like that old man was an actual actor. Like, they put out his name is in the credits and
or whatever.
Yeah, like, what? I'm still not sure what it was all for.
And then it would have been interesting with that reveal that we're talking about, that, you know, it's like, oh, it turns out the doctor was a woman after all, living as a man to disguise her lesbian relationship, because that would have gotten you killed in Nazi Germany.
Sure.
I think that would have added a depth to the love story element there.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it would have even been interesting to see these witches, you know, go after him and attack him and try to drag him into the ceremony and stuff, when it turns out, you know, the doctor is one of their own as a woman. Like, that would have been interesting to me to see too, that they misunderstood, you know?
Yeah.
Those could have been cool. Those could have been cool points.
Yeah.
But instead it was just like distracting the whole movie to me. I didn't like that.
Yeah.
And don't be wrong.
I do.
She does an awesome job. Tilda Swinton's amazing. She's fucking amazing.
And I do like that story, and the you know, it's a real sweet, bittersweet story.
Yeah, very
of
much.
People driven apart by the baddies in that are out in this separate story going on with the RAF.
Right.
Like the denazification of Germany that failed. Like, it didn't just fail the youth of Germany, it failed him as a Holocaust survivor. Like, he didn't get to see justice. And that's actually something that he's saying there in the end. Like, he's innocent. Like, of all the people in Berlin they could have picked,
right,
why pick him?
Right. Yeah.
And she said, Susie, Madame Suspiriorum, says that basically, that like, you know, what was it about? She says, like, we need shame and guilt, just not yours.
Yeah.
Like, it's still not as clear why it's important, because I think you're distracted a lot of the time by the fact that you're wondering why Tilda Swinton's playing this character.
Why didn't they at least pitch shift the vocal a little bit?
Yeah, it would have
like
been.
if they could have done some very light retuning of her voice to bring it down, not even like an octave, but it's like bring the pitch down a little bit, add a little distortion or something to it, because it just sounded like a woman trying to sound like an old man to me.
Yeah.
I mean, as amazing of an actress as she is, and amazing as the makeup is, like, you can only change your voice so much.
Ben, we got another beer over here.
I think we ought to get ourselves full.
Yeah, because I got so many dumb little things about this movie, but the things that I keep going back to are, I mean, it's obviously meant to be like an academic sort of horror movie.
I think so too.
Like, it's supposed to be written about.
Yeah.
Not necessarily just to entertain.
Not a popcorn flick.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, what kind of burr is this that we just cracked open here? This is from Old Burial Brewing in Asheville. This is one of my little souvenirs that I brought back. This
Gang
is
of Blades,
Gang
double
of
IPA.
Blades. Dude, all of Burial's names for their beers and their art and stuff like that is just so fucking metal. Like,
yeah, I mean, Gang of Blades, like, I don't even know. Is that just basically, you remember the knife fight scene in the Bad video?
Yeah.
I
It's
just
like
wanted
that.
to bring up Michael Jackson.
Well, we've already, since we've been talking about,
Child molester.
pederast and stuff a bunch this episode already, might as well.
Okay, just real quick. This is off topic.
Let's go there.
But seriously, we all knew about Michael Jackson and R. Kelly. Why did this suddenly happen where people are like, did you hear about Michael Jackson and R. Kelly? Did you hear about it 15 years ago when
it
we
was
all
happening?
heard about it?
Yeah.
And everybody was just like, I don't know.
I mean, dude, the whole Michael Jackson thing, like, I've not watched Finding Neverland. I
Yeah.
honestly don't really plan on
I'm not going to.
No, I don't really have much plan on it.
I'm not going to learn anything.
Yeah. And it's one of those things where it's like, do I know the whole story? No, absolutely not.
I don't need to.
But do I also think that we all saw some really crazy pants behavior from Michael Jackson in his day?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that we did.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that
Yeah.
we all saw that.
Unfortunately, like, we've gotten some intel from some people who've said, like, Michael Jackson never tried to fuck me, and it's like, yeah, he probably had a lot of kids over he didn't try to fuck because he knew that if he fucked them, he'd get caught.
Yeah.
Like Macaulay Culkin, for instance.
Right.
Like, because he's famous.
Right, yeah.
Or Corey Feldman, who also said that he never tried to do anything.
Yeah.
Because he's famous.
Yeah.
But then some kid who has a poor family.
There's no chance of fighting back.
Right.
You could probably groom that kid
Exactly.
pretty easily.
Mm-hmm.
It's fucked up and dork.
Yeah.
This beer is delicious and light.
Yes, it is, man.
It's so fucking good. Dude, Burial does not fuck around.
That, like, it immediately, I thought tasted kind of like, what is that Lagunitas super
Cluster.
Super Cluster.
Has a little bit of that.
Has a little bit of
the
that,
same
but then
hop or
it's
something.
got more citrus to it.
It does. And like a little
That's
bit
good stuff.
A little bit less hop, a little bit more funk.
Yeah.
That's something that I love about a lot of Burial stuff is like
The funk.
the funk,
Yeah.
dude. They know just the right way to balance juice and hop and funk in the stuff that they do, especially their IPAs and double IPAs and stuff. But dude, everything that we had while we were down there, like I said, we went twice, in 2 days.
Yeah.
Everything I had was awesome. I really wish that place would distribute to Tennessee. They distribute a couple other states,
Yeah.
but not to Tennessee yet. But you know what?
Did we do something wrong?
Well, I hope that we're doing some right stuff. Hope we're doing the right stuff, as they say. Because we're even seeing now some Asheville breweries like Highwire.
Yeah, Highwire's got a new place.
They're coming to Knoxville too. So hopefully that means that more Asheville establishments will be opened up to their
They're also
little cousin
opening
here
in South Knoxville like a sort of permanent food truck space.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the food truck park.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's gonna have a bunch of food trucks and beer. Like you
Yeah.
can actually get alcohol while you walk around to food trucks and try stuff.
And I'm on board.
That's awesome.
This beer is fucking
Yeah, this is
fantastic.
great.
I love it. This is one of my favorite favorite IPAs we've had in a long time.
There's so many other little things about
Bring them on.
Psychoanalysis and stuff that I could talk about, but I feel like I don't want to get too far in the weeds there, because I just as I was saying, like, I don't think, no matter how much I got into the psychoanalysis part of it, other than the idea of Freud's and Jung's and just psychoanalysis basically at its heart, that we're all men have something of the feminine in them.
Sure.
And women have something of the masculine, but like psychoanalysis, especially Freudian psychoanalysis, was very focused on men, and how deep and interesting our
penises are.
Yeah. And how people just are envious of them, and that's why they act the way they do. So the idea that there's some femininity to men, maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe they're specifically adding this femininity to this character because he is sympathetic, and he's supposed to come across as one of the good guys, basically, or not one of the good guys, because they do like really get at him for not believing Patricia.
Yeah.
Like, which is interesting.
Oh, yeah,
like,
they kind of run all over his ass for that.
Yeah, they're just like, they're the ones who hurt Patricia, but they're also like, fuck you for not believing her. Like, we really were fucking with her. Like,
yeah.
I mean, maybe that's it. But again, that's just not interesting enough. So I don't want to get into Lacanian psychoanalysis and all that shit. But
let me ask you this: why and what was the intent of bringing him in to witness this? Crazy ritual?
I get that. All that ritual stuff is actually like there's all basis in real witchcraft stuff from the past. The idea that you would need an innocent witness as part of the ritual, this Black Sabbath, the thing of the Sabbath, the Black Witch's Sabbath is supposed to be in opposition to the Eucharist.
Yeah.
So in opposition to the actual Sabbath. So it's like you remember the Saturday Night Live skit with Will Forte and Jason Sudeikis, John Bovey, where they would sing Bon Jovi songs, but just the opposite.
No, but I love it already.
All right, well, check that out. But basically, like,
Opposite Day.
Yeah.
Suspiria, or as it could be known, Opposite Day.
It's basically Opposite Day is my point. Yeah.
But to me, it's just like, why bring this guy in and have him witness this crazy fucking witchcraft and murder and all this stuff?
Because you need an innocent witness. You need someone who...
but then he's found out everything and could report you for this
Nobody
stuff.
would believe him.
Or would they?
But of course, yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that when witches were accused in the past, the person accusing them was always the witness, like the innocent person. Like, it's just tradition. I think they're just going with traditions believed by witches, which is why they also have the women wearing the hair shirts, because traditionally hair has been associated with witchcraft, like long hair and body hair, like underarm hair, leg hair.
Yeah.
Those have been associated with the women who are considered witches.
Well, and I'll say too, and this is one of those things that's just kind of an aside onto that as well, that maybe it was in the back of Dario's mind when he made the original. I think it was definitely on Luca's mind whenever he made this one. I think the notion of having witches be dancers, I think is very, very interesting and very smart.
Yeah.
When you look at dance in a lot of ways as being very much a symbol of femininity and female sexuality. And then also, too, even when you look at all the stories of, witches dancing naked around a fire.
Right.
All women dancing together. And even like during Volk, it's like their costumes are almost made to make them look like they're nude.
Well, yeah, and they are made to resemble like bondage rope.
Yeah. That Japanese kind of rig.
Yeah.
So I think that just the notion of having witches be dancers, I think is really, really cool. I think that's a really good concept.
Yeah, I mean, performing spells through dance. Like,
yeah. Well,
that's something I can get behind. The
Yeah.
idea that you need this, like,
well, and women have always been able to bewitch men through dance.
well, yeah. I mean, that's
You know?
how John the Baptist lost his head.
You don't say.
Yeah,
There you go.
there you go.
Based on a true story. But yeah, anyway, I just want to put that aside. That I think that's a really, really cool way.
It
to
is. It
approach
is really
witches.
cool.
Yeah.
Like, I like the because like one of the things that I have real trouble with. I love playing RPGs.
Mm-hmm.
I like me some D&D, and of course, I love me some Harry Potter. One of the things I always have trouble with is like Harry Potter goes into it a little bit, but the concept of just pointing a wand and a spell coming out, it's like, what differentiates good and bad? But when dance is the medium for the spell, it's like, well, I could easily differentiate good dancing from
cool.
bad dancing. So I buy into it better, I think is what I'm saying, is that the fact that they do magic without dance, but it feels to me like
Adds a physicality to
yeah,
it.
and I think that the dance that they're preparing for, the Volk dance, is actually a dance they're using as a spell to fix the issue that's going on in Berlin.
Now that's something that I was curious about too, because it definitely does seem as if that is all part of some kind of ritual.
Right, and it gets disrupted.
Well, yeah,
it doesn't work.
Mia Goth decides to go on a treasure hunt.
Right. Okay.
Which I will say, I think that is somewhat of a clumsy plot device.
Well, they made her so much like Sarah from the original that it
Very
doesn't
much.
make sense at that point. It's like, wait,
I thought you were committed to the dance and this school and stuff.
Right.
And you're choosing debut night to be like, I think I should go explore
right.
in costume. Like, really?
And Olga seemed to be much more like concerned about Patricia. Sarah
Very
didn't
much.
seem as concerned about Patricia until
No.
suddenly she is confronted by Klemperer about it, and she's just like, no, none of that. And then that night she's like, yeah, probably all of that.
I love that while she's snooping around and she finds that like hidden room that has
That is
all
great.
the
The Mutterhaus.
extreme. Oh, the
That's what it's called.
Mutterhaus. And it has all that like extreme feminine artwork. Like there's like a statue.
Yeah,
that's
it's a
just bunch
statue
of
of
boobs.
tits with a vagina on top of it.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like that is so like it is just female centric,
Yeah.
all of it.
Well, which again goes back to stuff we talked about, like in The Witch and stuff like that, where it's like ultimately the fear of witchcraft and the persecution of witches is just fear of the power of femininity.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, of the incredible creative power of women, and the stuff that we don't have access to as men. You know.
Yeah,
And I think it's awesome to
that's
see
all
that
it is.
everything in that room is representative of that. Is very cool.
Yeah, it's very feminine.
But basically, whenever she goes AWOL on the night of the performance, she goes down there, she sees some crazy shit.
Yeah.
She steps in a hole. She gets her bone out her leg.
Yeah, and then they come in and they mend her leg and then put her in a trance that basically makes her just do the dance.
Yeah. She's a mega dancer at that point.
Right.
She's a dance machine.
Okay, and so
Because they need her to complete the ritual. But the impression that I got, if you'll watch, whenever she like enters back into the dance and Susie notices her, it's like she can tell something is not right.
Yes,
here.
that's what I was gonna say. Is that so? This is what happens. Is Sarah Mia Goth, her eyes turn blue, and Susie recognizes that her eyes are a different color.
Yeah.
So Susie takes control, and when Susie takes control, her eyes turn brown. Susie's eyes are blue. Her eyes suddenly turn brown.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
And then Sarah's eyes turn back to their regular color, and she collapses.
That's when like her leg breaks again.
Yes.
I think
So
that
that's
Susie
what-
like disrupted the
Yes,
spell.
Susie disrupted the spell, and then like Madame Blanc she's like, what have you done? You messed it up.
Well, but I think that Susie knew something that Blanc didn't know. I think she knew that
Yes.
this ritual was somehow going to empower Helena Marcos in some way.
Yes.
I don't think it meant to fix anything. I think it meant to empower Marcos in some way. I'm not sure.
Okay, I can see that. I had the theory that what they were doing was meant to fix Berlin because earlier when Susie was trying to make some changes to the dance, like Madame Blanc has this sort of speech about how she doesn't understand what happened 40 years ago and how this is meant to bring about like, you know, a sort of change. So I don't know. She says, I mean, they've performed this dance before.
Yeah. And Volk is a very on-the-nose reference to a Hitler reference.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. So, like, for me, it seems like maybe that it's to do that, but also maybe it's to empower Elena Marcos. But that's the problem I have is that I feel like Madame Blanc doesn't want to empower Helena Marcos, and I don't think Helena Marcos can trick Madame Blanc. Like, I think Madame Blanc knows very well what she's up to, so she wouldn't do the dance if it was going to empower her.
She never seems to fall for Marcos as being the true mother. She seems to always know she's
like
not.
Half of the people are very much entrenched in this Helena Marcos dictatorship idea. It's all so open for interpretation that that's why this movie is going to be talked about for a very long time.
I'm finding it more interesting the more that we talk about it.
Yeah, even though maybe people will, you know, not enjoy it as much as you might enjoy watching the original. I think that this one is better than the original. The original's more enjoyable watch probably because it's a feast. The original is a feast for your eyes and your ears. Yeah. This one is a feast for your mind, which takes a lot of work, which can be real hard.
Yeah, definitely.
And can be fun and rewarding, but also it's just like, yeah, but do I want to go back to that? Because I know if I watch it again, I'm going to have to go through all the mental like work to try to understand everything that's going on.
Let me ask you some stuff about Susie here, because one thing that I noticed this time around is how her character evolves and changes in terms of like when she arrives at the dance studio. For one, okay, let's back up a little bit here.
Okay.
She comes from this Mennonite background where her mother seems to have disavowed her and says that she's her sin and her shame and her smear on the world and stuff. Do you think that they would send her to be a modern dancer at a all-women school in Berlin?
I had this exact question. Did she steal that money?
Because it shows her at the very first of the movie with a handful of American dollars and also European currency.
Well, yeah, it looks like Deutschmarks in there. And I mean, there could be the idea that the Mennonites want her to have some sort of connection to German heritage or something, but like, I don't see that. I don't see Mennonite because, like, she says specifically that the Amish and the Mennonites split because the Amish thought the Mennonites were getting too liberal.
Party.
So maybe that the Mennonites are in their liberality allowing her to do this thing, but that just seems so uncharacteristic.
Well, and even when she talks about how she's seen Madame Blanc do that dance 100 times, it was in the context of I watched the video at the library. Like, it was never. Well, and I bought it on home video.
She saw it live 3 times, and she basically had to sneak. And Madame Blanc says, I imagine they weren't happy about that, basically.
Right.
And she's like, no, they weren't.
Well, and she's very, very adamant about not ever really mentioning her family at the school. Like, whenever they're like, do you need to call your family and tell them you got accepted? She's like, no, we're good.
I'm good.
Yeah, never mentions it. It really does make me think that she just cut bait and ran. Like, she'd always had this obsession.
Maybe took a bunch of money from them as she went. Yeah.
I really think so, because she'd always had this obsession with Berlin. It shows her mom in that flashback, like, crinkling up her paper and throwing it away and stuff.
Yeah, because she didn't want to study the United States. She wanted to be in Berlin. Like, she knew from birth what she was and where she needed to be.
Right.
It's crazy. Like, that's a cool, like, if that were a comic book character's background story, it'd be a cool story.
Which, really, again, when you think in terms of, like, historical context, movie takes place in 77. I assume maybe she's 18ish.
Yeah, I'm assuming she's supposed to be like 18, 19 in this, right?
Which means maybe she was born in 59.
Right, so she's born well outside of World War II.
But that means her parents lived through it, and they were like, and you want to go to Naziville?
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That would make that much more taboo to be like, you want to go to Berlin? Are you kidding?
Yeah.
So
okay, that makes that make
it.
a lot more sense. Like, because I mean, we talked about this in the mini-sode. The idea of like why her mother thinks she's a sin.
Yeah.
Because her mother seems to, from like each flashback we see, like from her as a youth to up to the point where her mother's dying on her deathbed, like while she's in Germany, her mother does not like her.
Yeah, very much. But at the same time, Susie's a twin.
She is?
Yeah.
What?
There's numerous references in the script and stuff like this. Okay, so Dakota Johnson plays Susie, obviously, but also in some of the flashback scenes or like back at the homestead.
Right.
There's a daughter that's like pregnant.
Yeah.
You never really see her face. That's also Dakota Johnson. She's a twin.
The fuck?
Yeah, she has a twin sister back home.
Oh, well, then that can explain it, actually, though, then.
Well, it's all, though, because the mom references Susie as being her last child.
Well, yeah, she would have been the youngest, probably, and therefore possibly the evil twin.
But again,
like,
there's also duality there, right?
Yeah.
And also, too, you know what? This just hit me as well. Yeah. That was also one of those signs of witchery and witchcraft was twins.
Yeah, I know. That's what I was going to say, is that by being the second one, she was the evil one.
Which, again, that's in The Witch as well. There's a set of twins in that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Twins are evil. I mean, anything slightly different. Left-handed is evil. Like,
yeah.
like anything
Not
slightly
normal,
different.
like.
Yeah, so, like, for people like, you know, with a simple worldview, the Mennonites, yeah, she would just be automatically evil. And so she was treated automatically as evil. But it happens to be that she is... Well, no, not evil. The mothers aren't evil because they existed before God and Satan.
Right, yeah.
They're not evil. They're just, like, they're Lovecraftian. Mm-hmm. Like, they're extra-dimensional beings.
Unknowable.
They're unknowable, incomprehensible. We can't imagine them. So she doesn't seem, I guess, necessarily evil, but definitely different.
I think it's interesting, too, knowing that Mother Suspirium is the mother of sighs.
The mother of sighs, yeah. That's an interesting one.
Is, especially towards the earlier portion of the movie, just intake of breath and exhaling.
Yeah, and they actually do this motion a couple of times. She does this when she's doing her first dance, which is, I mean, obviously on a podcast not working, but basically that
drawing the arms from out to in.
Yeah, drawing your arms from out to in toward your chest, just like you're pulling in breath.
Yeah, and even before her first audition, she's kind of like intaking breath, and of course her mother's death is very much pronounced by her intaking breath and sighing out air and stuff like that. So
because she's dealing with some lung issue, it seems. Yeah,
and there's also tears emphasized, which there's also a mother of tears.
Right. Yeah, and Olga, as she's walking down the stairs to leave, suddenly starts just
like gelatinous
shooting tears out of her face. Yeah.
And then there's also the mother of darkness, and obviously darkness is emphasized very many times throughout the movie. Something I thought about Susie that was interesting too to see is how her, let's just say her womanliness, her feminine sexuality and stuff grows throughout the course of the movie.
Right.
Like whenever she's arriving, she's in full sweats, her hair's in a bun. Mm. And then it's like with every dance scene that you see, it seems like
she takes off more and more. Yeah, by the end, she's just in a sheer, like, robe.
Yeah. And it's not even that it's just like, man, she's getting hotter. It's not.
No, that's not there at all, actually. Yeah, there's nothing sexy about this movie, and it's not supposed to be. No. This is not. The movie says these exact words. This isn't about beauty. This isn't about art.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And there's all that stuff about we gotta break the nose of everything beautiful and stuff like that in there.
Yeah. So these are bodies. Yeah. Like that is like this is an interesting take on feminism where it's not just like we don't want to be objects. it's we want to be allowed to just be bodies.
Yeah.
Like we want our, what I really like is that they all have dancers' bodies. And dancers' bodies, as you said, are like, they start to break down, like from all this hard impact and stuff. And they all have this, dancerness to them. So like they're lithe and they're not what you might call like traditionally like, the hourglass
Bootylicious.
figure. Yeah. They're not like that.
They don't look like Beyonce.
Yeah, they're dedicated to dance.
Right.
It's not about you liking the way they look. It's about you recognizing their form and their expression through it.
And I'll say, too, we've not mentioned this yet. We're a bunch of idiots that don't know shit about dance and ballet.
I don't know anything.
Like
I mean, we both asked Mangelina Broly for some advice on that, and she gave us some good stuff. But
our ballet homegirl listens to the podcast and stuff here. And, she gave us a brief kind of summary of the stuff that we should be watching for, which is captured very well in terms of like the kinetics and even the editing and stuff like that they did in the movie to show just again how violent and aggressive a lot of the dance and stuff is. And again, the editing during the dance scenes is fantastic. Yeah. It really, really is.
I really love... Okay, so, like, at this point, like, we're not going to crack the code to understanding everything about this. I just wanted to talk about some things I really love.
Hit me.
I really love how... Okay, so they're... In the performance, their costumes are basically bondage rope.
Yeah.
But the interesting thing about that is that the bondage rope, it's bound on them, but then it's loose at the bottom. And what they're doing in the dance is constantly using that looseness to like make noise and to like accentuate their motions.
Because very percussive.
Exactly. And so it's like they're using their bondage as an instrument.
Oh, wow.
Which is exactly what you would want from this powerful feminist movie.
Wow, yeah.
Is for them to turn the patriarch on its head, to take the bondage and make it work in their favor.
Cool.
Yeah, I really, man, there were so many small things about this that I really just loved. I love the look of death that comes up out of...
Way cool.
What?
Way cool.
Like, I posted it on our Instagram today, just like the best picture you can get of it. It's like some sort of xenomorph human. Is how I would describe it. Like the disgusting slick blackness of it. Like
it's very Giger looking.
Yeah, like it's like an oily blackness to it, and the way it moves is
awesome.
Yeah,
and again, practical.
Yeah, all practical. So
very cool.
Yeah, and that is probably my favorite thing. And I haven't mentioned his name, but the person who did the makeup, Mark. Collier or Coulier. It's spelled Coulier.
Like Dave Coulier?
But
cut it out.
But he's from England, so I'm betting he pronounces it Collier.
Okay. What's he done?
Here's some things he's done. All of the Harry Potters except for 2 and 3.
Okay.
He did Nightbreed, which is not one of my favorite movies, but
it looks
the
good.
Makeup is great.
Yeah. So this guy's been in the game a long time.
Candyman, Hellraiser 2 and 3.
Damn.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
That was great.
Event Horizon.
Holy shit.
The Fifth Element.
Dude.
Yeah. Alien versus Predator. And he most recently, this isn't his most recent credit because the dude is still working like crazy. But the most recent thing that I've watched, he did the Black Mirror Bandersnatch episode.
Oh, no shit.
Which has some real cool, if you play out all of the scenes, has some real cool prosthetic makeup.
So this guy knows his shit.
He knows his shit, and he fucking nailed it. And like that Red Room Witch Sabbath scene, at certain points, there are 20 people in the shot wearing prosthetic makeup.
Jeez.
Like, they just had to have a million makeup people on set doing makeup on everybody.
Almost like a real movie.
Yeah, like a real one. It's crazy.
You know, it was interesting watching on the Blu-ray there. There's a couple of disappointingly short featurettes about.
Yeah, I would like a lot more about this.
I mean, yeah, like all the there's like 3 featurettes and they're all like 4 minutes each. I mean, it's like, come on.
Yeah.
But they do show some interesting stuff, like during the dance annihilation scene where Olga is being just destroyed in the other studio. How they did a lot of that stuff. So like, whenever they show those scenes where like her arm is being like bent behind her head and stuff.
Yeah, that's a prosthetic, right?
Yeah.
And they took her arm out in green screen. Right?
Yeah, they had her wear like a green sleeve on her real arm, and they built a prosthetic arm. And then
I was trying to do green sleeves, and it went to Harry Potter.
Yeah, I was like, Harry Potter? It is strikingly similar now that you mention it.
Yeah.
And they did the same thing with like a fake leg behind her real leg and stuff.
Yeah.
And even like built a prosthetic jaw for that scene, like her jaw breaks.
Okay.
I love where like she has like hernia like shoot out of her belly and stuff too. Again, all real.
Yeah, and that was that hernia. Like at first, I was like, "Is that just digital?" But then you can see in a sort of distant shot that it's a prosthetic. Like that, it's still there.
Yeah.
Even in the distant shot, it just does. It looks a little less awesome because in the up close, they obviously digitally enhance. They digitally enhance a few things.
Yeah.
Like when she rips open her chest and whatnot, like that was a practical effect with a little digital. I don't know. It's kind of slimy and movie in there with some digital effect.
And I still must complain. CGI blood looks fucking stupid.
Yeah, it looks bad.
Like the scene where we see Tilda get nearly headless nicked and there's the blood spray.
Yeah, that looks bad.
It looks like bullshit. The scenes where people's heads are exploding look like bullshit.
Yeah, well,
the red light saves it.
That's what I was gonna say. It does look fake, but the red light kind of helps.
It
with
helps,
that.
but it still looks like a headshot in a video game.
Yeah.
Like when it's like
that's what it looks like. Yeah.
Where it's like the blood looks more like oil than blood.
Right.
It's like glossy looking.
Glossy. And that is not how blood comes out. No.
It never looks right, you know? Which, it makes you understand whenever Stanley Kubrick had him shoot the elevator scene in The Shining a million times, and he's like, it doesn't look real.
Right.
Yeah, it's because there's a million ways to make blood look not real.
Yeah.
You know? So I do wish they would have found a more elegant way around some of those things. It did kind of pull me out.
But this was a movie produced by Amazon Studios that they knew wasn't going to make money in the theater.
Right.
Like they didn't even release it wide. Like, it went to a lot of independent theaters, but it wasn't.
We got it like a month after it'd been out or something.
It was never meant to be released wide. Like, I guarantee it'll be on their streaming service soon. And that's what they were really going for, is people that are interested in seeing Suspiria, so they'll pay for the streaming service, and they're like, I'll just stay. I think, they cut some corners, but I don't know. When you're that dedicated to practical effects and then you let the blood look like that, like, just
weak.
Yeah, come on, man.
Or just don't show it.
That's true. Yeah, well, no, man, I would love seeing those head explode.
Your head explode.
Yeah, those head explosions are great.
Did you think it looked very vaginal whenever she opened her chest up?
Yeah, I think that's what they were going for.
And there was a lot of other imagery in the movie.
Yeah, a lot of vaginal imagery.
Whenever we see those, and again, this goes back to her womanly powers growing throughout the movie, but there's that set of dream sequences and stuff that we see in the movie that kind of reveals some stuff about her back.
Well, right.
Story.
She's having sort of an orgasmic dream, and she remembers her mom catching her masturbating.
It looks like she's having a wank in the closet.
Yeah, that's what she's doing, and her mom burns her hand with an iron.
She dobbies her,
yeah.
She had to iron her hands.
Yep.
There's a lot of Harry Potter in this movie.
There really is. Honestly. Though, Harry Potter, man, I'll tell you what. Last week I forgot to mention it. Carrie, Harry Potter. Suspiria, Harry Potter. Troll, the original Troll, has a character named Harry Potter who lives in a cabinet under the stairs, basically. Yeah, like, she's
Harry's
obviously
everywhere.
was watching her horror movies That's one of the things I love about JK. I wish she'd get back to that. I wish she'd get back, like, instead of like, man, how can I extend the stories of the few characters I've already made? Why not just be like, I'm going to write a story about how nearly headless Nick got his head almost fucking chopped off.
I would love to read that.
Yeah. Like, tell me the gruesome details of that. That's interesting.
I'd be very okay with that.
I don't need Grindelwald and Dumbledore fighting over a wand, which we know is a dick.
Yeah. Pretty apparent.
Come on, guys.
Pretty obvious. What do you think about the epilogue of the movie?
Okay, so yeah, let's talk about this. Okay.
Spoilers. I don't like it.
Yeah. So one of the things that this movie really deals with is generational guilt.
Yeah.
Which, talked about just a little bit ago. And so Kemperer is carrying this guilt of what happened to his wife.
Yeah,
and
he didn't get her papers together. They got separated.
Right.
What happened to her?
And the witches do rightfully point out that he had time to get out before he tried to. Yeah. Like, he had more than enough time to get out, maybe. But in the end, it's victim blaming is what they're doing. Like, they're blaming him for not recognizing that his people were going to be destroyed.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he did nothing wrong. He was a pure victim, just like his wife. And so Mother Suspirium, as I said before, she is compassionate. Now, her compassion isn't the type of it's not human compassion. It's eternal, sort of weird compassion where it's, I recognize that you haven't done these terrible things other people have done, so what I'll give you is the gift of oblivion.
Mm-hmm.
You'll get to forget the things that cause you all this pain.
Yeah.
Now, if somebody told me I could forget my wife after she died, I would say no. I wouldn't want to forget my wife.
Yeah, erase the memories of the best things in my life.
So it's like Mother Suspirium thinks she's doing him a service, when in actuality what she's doing is taking away from him all the things that make him human.
Which I think undercuts the power of Susie Banion's character.
Maybe. Or maybe she just doesn't care about men. Maybe the mothers don't care about men. Like, would that be so bad if they ended up making this as a trilogy and we just discovered that the mothers don't care about men or their feelings?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that just be a nice antithesis to Christian God or Muslim Allah, who have all these laws and rules that are basically like women are less than men? If we had this separate trinity that were like, and we completely think the opposite.
Yeah.
That men are far less than women, and there's no use in us even dealing with them.
But then, like, after all that stuff, and it shows modern times, and it shows Klemperer and Anka's cabin, and it zooms in on their little heart carving.
Yeah, which is
it just seems to cheapen the entire story to me. It just seems to be like, this whole thing was a love story. Yeah. It's like, man, dude, for that to be the last impression, God, that's weak.
It's not great. I really would have loved it if it ended right with the Red Room, basically, with them kicking him out. Maybe you have a small denouement of her, like, taking over control of the dance studio.
Yeah. Maybe
show her wearing Madame Blanc's dress or something.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Because ultimately the story is about Susie.
Yeah, it's not about Klemperer. And then the epilogue makes it more about
this old guy.
I mean, it could be fair to say that the epilogue shows her now in her role as Mother Suspirium and what she does. But that's not interesting enough to go back to. Like, it's not more interesting than just the regular ending. Like if it had just ended before the epilogue, we would get she's powerful as fuck. We just saw her make a bunch of people's heads explode.
Yeah.
We don't need her to also be responsible for alleviating him of his feelings of guilt.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that epilogue needed to happen.
Yeah, I don't know that it did either.
It's one of those
I feel
things
like it could have been cut. Yeah.
I was hoping that on second viewing I'd be like, oh no, I get it this time. But still, I just think it just makes it like man-centric at the end. When you've had this whole story that's all about...
It's really about making a man feel better about the stuff that maybe he shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Maybe he should have been a little more on top of it. Yeah.
I don't like it. I don't really understand why it needed to be there. I wonder if there was studio pressure involved. I just don't know. It just seems like an overly... happy, optimistic, sweet ending for such a movie that has been so bleak in a lot of ways.
Oh, yeah.
I can't say that I like the epilogue at all.
Yeah.
I can't even say that I love that it starts with like a movie in 6 acts and an epilogue. Like, I don't even know that I like that. Like, that seems pretty fucking pretentious to me. I mean, I guess it kind of makes it come out like a ballet, like a proper ballet.
Yeah.
But as a movie audience, when you're watching it, you're like, Act 6, okay, here's the ending. Now I know there's going to be an epilogue. Epilogue, okay. Like, it almost kind of spells it out too clearly for what you're in for. Because when you see the end of Act 6, it's not over.
From the perspective of sitting down to write that.
Yeah.
Why would you, why? Like, it almost seems like maybe it was a scene you wrote just to get a... Like, because, this is a smart thing to do, again, for any writers out there. You want your story to start in media res, in the middle of action, of course.
Yeah.
But a smart thing to do is to write all the stuff up to that point and then just start your story in the middle.
Yeah.
And then all the information up to that point so you can plug it in along the way.
Yeah.
But then when you come to the idea of an epilogue, like the real idea is to put a button on everything, to really either challenge something about the movie or to really land some hard thought.
Mm-hmm.
And if the hard thought is that some men need to be alleviated of their guilt, that undercuts a lot.
I think it does. Yeah. Because I think so much of the movie is about womanly power and feminism, and I love seeing this wonderful commune of women sustaining themselves and living on their own.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome and beautiful to see. And I think another really strong theme throughout the movie is that you've got these women that are squabbling to be at the head of control. You've got Blanc and Marcos and all these other people fighting to say who should be in charge and stuff like this. But then I think that Susie kind of shows that, you don't necessarily have to be the person on top of the totem pole to assert power.
Right.
It's like wherever you are in the food chain, you can assert dominance and control and power.
This is something that I thought about when looking at one of the drawings in Patricia's notebook where she included everybody. And she even has herself.
Yeah,
it says me.
Yeah.
And you see all the lines. And the thing is that when you look at it, you think of it as a shape. You think, all these lines are forming something.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're a part of it, there is no looking at it from the outside. When you're a part of it, it's not a shape, it's just a motion. And so they're all in motion, they're all doing these things, they're all involved in these different ideas and whatnot. And if you look at it from the outside, it's easy to say, well, this person's in charge.
Right.
But from the inside, it's
everything's connected to everything.
Everything's connected. Who is anybody really in charge here?
Right.
All of these are moving parts. Yeah. Even if she's trying to be in charge, the best she can do is kill somebody for not doing what she wants to happen.
Mm-hmm.
But then eventually she ends up alone because she's killed everybody. Like, they're all interconnected parts, and Susie plays that part really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think the movie needed to be as long as it is? It's fucking long.
2.5 hours is pretty long. I think if you cut out I think I did the math. If you cut out the epilogue and the closing credits, it's closer to 2 hours and 10 minutes.
Yeah.
At that point, I don't know what you cut. Like, if you cut the epilogue, fine. But then, what else can you take out? What would work? Like, how would the movie work without all the rest of what happens in it?
I honestly think that you could take out the historical narrative of all the RAF and Bader Meinhof stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that you could take it out.
I mean, that completely changes the movie.
I mean, does it?
Yeah. Yes. It makes it more like the original.
And
like,
to me, it's
isolated and very claustrophobic.
Yeah, but to me, it allows me to focus on the power struggle of what's happening within the coven.
Yeah.
More than what's happening in the coven and what's happening in these real life historical events. That, you know, it's like this duality of this like fantasy and history.
Yeah.
Happening at the same time. I don't know that having actual history act as an allegory to fantasy makes it better. You know? And I don't know that you needed all the love story, lost love stuff with the doctor. It's like, I really don't know that makes the movie better.
I think Klimper is in no way a sympathetic character without that. Otherwise, there's no use for Klimper at all.
Yeah, other than just clumsy exposition.
Right.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah, if you take out the love story, you have to take out Klimper. Then, yeah, what you're saying is you prefer to watch Dario Argento's Suspiria.
I just don't know that adding those extra things makes the movie better.
Well, okay, let's take the word better out. Does it make the movie different than the original?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's different better.
It doesn't have to be better or worse.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And that's inarguable.
Yeah.
And to some people, different is better.
Some people like different.
Because I
completely
understand people not liking the original. But to me, the original
it's a bit hokey and silly.
Yeah, exactly. It's not an invincible movie. To me, like flicks like, you know, again, like The Shining and stuff like that. Like that's pretty much like a pretty invincible movie to me, where it's like it's very likable. It's very You should watch that and understand why it's significant. You know.
Right. Yeah. This one requires a degree, I think.
Maybe, you know?
I think this one's maybe like one of those movies where it's like so many references that are, I think, trying to be over your head.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. And maybe that's just a little fart sniffy for me.
Okay.
You know? Like, I still like it. Like, the first time that we watched it and we did the mini episode, I was like, flip-flopping over it, whereas like after we watched it I was like, I don't know. And then the next day I was like, I think I liked it, and then by the time we did the episode I was like, yeah, I don't know. And after I watched it this time, again, my initial reactions were, it's like, this is really messy, where I'm like, I don't know that it had some great themes of feminism and the power of women and stuff throughout the movie that I really, really, really liked, that were awesome.
Yeah.
And again, all the dance stuff and all the blatant opposites to the original,
right?
I really liked, because it was just saying, if you're gonna make a remake, let's completely re-explore.
Yeah, do something completely different.
And that's cool to me.
Yeah,
like I really like that a lot. But then I was just faced with all this other stuff where I'm just like, man, are a lot of these little side stories making it better? Like, am I in any way like really tied to Klimper's story about his wife? Am I in any way really involved in these, like all the Bader Meinhof stuff? I'm not even seeing it happening. It's happening by means of people turning on a TV or a radio.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I was thinking if you did take that out, you really wouldn't take out much of the movie, but you'd take out a lot of context. Like, because it honestly only happens in brief flashes.
Yeah, it's always happening like the background of a restaurant or an office or whatever. Like, it's not like there's 30 minutes of the movie that's RAF scene on the plane. Like, that would be really
That is an interesting element about it, is that
is background.
Its presence is so felt. Like, that bit of it, the RAF stuff, its presence is so felt. But if you break it down to how much screen time it has, it's real little. But
it's not as much as I remembered.
Yeah, but it does have a major impact on the movie.
I was just expecting it to come back. Like, I was expecting it to be like Patricia leaves.
That would have been a more interesting epilogue, maybe.
Yeah, totally.
Right.
Well, I was honestly even expecting, like, towards the end of the movie, like, all this crazy shit's going on, and then Patricia crashes the party with her RAF buddies, and you know what I mean? Like,
pew, pew, pew.
Yeah, like Deus Ex Machina's it. Like, I was like, when is this gonna come back and actually like interact with the story itself?
Yeah,
and not just give me parallels. You know?
Yeah.
Could I, if you were an educated audience member, just watch this and be like, oh wow, the power struggle within the Covenant is kind of parallel to what was going on with the RAF and the German what's the word I'm looking for, political system that was in power at the time. It's like, could you just watch it and infer that without it having to really put it on Front Street? Maybe. As a, well, not even Front Street, side street.
Put it on A Street.
Yeah, A Street. As just a side story. I don't know, man. It's just there's just a lot of stuff in this that I just can't help but feel is like, what were you trying to tell a story about here? Mm-hmm. Were you trying to tell a story about women's power? Were you trying to tell a story about German history? Like, what were you trying to tell me by throwing all these things together? Which is the allegory telling you about the other one at that point?
Right.
Rather than just give me a singular story and message. What's imitating what?
Just a good question.
You know?
Yeah.
And maybe that in itself is an interesting thing that this movie is going for. And if that's the case, then I guess it did it.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it a ranking here.
Yeah.
I think the ambiguities are things that it's going for. Yeah. I think particularly that it is aimed at academic audiences. I think it's aimed at being highfalutin. It's aimed at being fart sniffy kind of.
Rootin' tootin'.
Yeah. I think it's aimed at that, and because of that, like, it's not going to hit audiences quite as strongly as, say, The Witch, which is like, if you understand the context of what's going on in The Witch, it helps a little, but you can watch The Witch without knowing anything about that era of American history and still understand. Yeah, so yeah, the Bader Meinhof stuff without any sort of context, absolutely useless.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. With some context, it makes some sense.
That kind of goes back to the Payman stuff we were talking about, Hereditary earlier, where it's like, whereas with Hereditary, it was so interesting that I did the research myself.
Right.
With this, I was just like, why are they putting this in here?
Wait, late 70s Germany, I'm so interested.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, it was like that. Yeah.
It is a weird choice. Yeah. I like it for that, though. I like that weirdness. I think that maybe Luca Guadagnino's version of Argento is, instead of, bright colors and weird MC Escher references and stuff, like, I'll make weird historical references and strange references to academic papers and things. Like, maybe that's his weirdness, or maybe it, it really is just he was getting fart sniffy and wanted to seem real important and whatnot. I don't get that from the movie. I think the movie is more grounded I think maybe that's just the way people involved with this, the director, writer, that's the way they think.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, it's easy to call someone pretentious when basically what you're saying is, I don't get you. Like,
sure, yeah.
It's easy to say that's pretentious, but I don't know that this movie is entirely pretentious, but it is maybe too much at times.
Yeah.
Too much to try to give context to. That being said, as a horror movie and looking at the A story, the primary story of this is a great movie.
Mm-hmm.
The dancing is also amazing.
Yeah.
I love how dedicated everyone was to their roles. I really enjoy this movie, but it is long, as you said. As much as I tried to defend the epilogue or tried to defend Tilda Swinton playing the psychiatrist, I don't know that those were great choices. I mean, you know, they're bold.
Sure.
They certainly try to say something.
That's undeniable.
Yeah, but I'm not positive what it is. Which means I'm just going to watch this movie several more times and try to understand it.
Yeah,
but
me too. Despite my complaints, me
yeah,
too.
Yeah. So for me, this is a 7.5.
Yeah.
I think that's what we gave Carrie. You gave it Carrie a 7.5. I gave it 7.6.
Yeah.
Spirit of 76.
Boom.
I think that they're around there. Like, Carrie has its problems, it has its issues, and it has its like less than great moments, but it has that core of the moments with her mom, and all of that is great. I would say the core of Dakota Johnson with Tilda Swinton and her with the other characters, and that's fucking great.
Yeah.
So it really, I think it deserves a good grade, but it's also like, I'm going to have to really work at it to try to understand why it is the way it is.
Right.
What do you think?
I understand the stuff that you're saying. There's a lot of stuff about this that I like. Like I said, I do love the original. The visuals and the soundtrack. Like,
yeah.
Eyes and ears. Those are my favorite senses.
I seriously can watch that movie a million times.
Yeah.
Like, as I've said throughout this episode, I don't love the original.
Yeah.
But it's extremely watchable.
Yeah.
And it's a good movie.
Yeah, it's awesome. And I love that. And honestly, it's one of those deals where I'll be really transparent here. I do wonder, knowing Argento's like later work and how it got kind of crap. I do wonder if he did just kind of get lucky with it, or if he really was super, super honest and self-aware and said, you know what this movie needs? Nothing. It's like, keep the dialogue super minimal and basic. Keep the story super basic.
I'd rather
eyes and ears.
I'd rather hear loud wind than hear what a girl's actually saying at the door.
Totally. Yeah. Give me bright lights instead of dialogue.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it's really interesting and a strange way to tell a story. I love that about the original. Again, this isn't about comparing this to that, though.
No,
this is a completely different story. Whereas this seems to somehow not have the confidence to be like, you know what? A simple story would suffice to tell this tale about feminine power and witches and so on.
Yeah.
I need to also enhance it with the story about a man looking for his wife.
Yeah.
And about terrorists and
history.
history.
That might only just play into later drawing him back to the dance studio with the image of his wife. Like, if that...
Oh, man, that's clumsy-ass exposition.
That's real clumsy, yeah.
I mean, that is asking us to invest a lot of fucking time, if that's all it is.
Into just a small movement toward... Like, you could come up with any reason to get him there.
Well, and just to put the original Susie back in the movie, too, you know?
Yeah.
Which I do like.
She learned
was in
German for that part.
It's pretty cool.
Badass, yeah.
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
And she's a badass. I like that they put her back in there.
Yeah.
I do wish they would have referenced the Goblin soundtrack at some point.
That would have been nice. Yeah, it's weird that Tom York didn't at some point.
At least something.
Yeah.
But there were some cool references to the OG here. I think that some of those scenes, like whenever Madame Blanc's like transmitting the dreams and she has the weird like Technicolor kind of pink lights and stuff on her, definitely reference. Something I noticed this time through too is like the zombie girls, Patricia and Sophie, Sarah. There we go. Look very much like the original Helena Marcos.
Oh, they do.
Right? They're like all green and crusty and corpse-like and stuff.
Yeah.
They look very much like the original Helena Marcos, which I thought was cool. There's references to like the dance is happening in the Iris room.
Okay.
Stuff like that. If you're a fan of the original, there are some subtle references, but it doesn't feel
at one point a lady points out a dude's teeth and says, "Look at this goofball. He got his teeth fixed, idiot."
I love the way that they took the twist with this. That it's not that Susie shows up to kill these witches. It's that Susie shows up and she is the fucking witch.
Yeah.
She's the ultimate
She's
witch.
the witch. Yeah, she's the one.
I like that very much. And again, like a lot of those opposites that we talked about earlier, I think are very cool. It's a cool way to spin a remake, is just to do something that is completely the opposite of what you're expecting. That vocal soundtrack really is just a fucking...
It's intrusive.
It's
and
a
bad.
dick softener for me, dude.
Yep.
It is a real dick softener.
Yes.
Get yourself a less identifiable vocal to do that. Just because you're doing the soundtrack doesn't mean you have to fucking sing the whole thing.
No, it doesn't.
And just remind me, okay, I'm in the post-millennium and the singer of Radiohead is on the soundtrack. Really fucking is lame to me. I love a long, slow burn movie.
Yeah.
I do. Man, this was long. Man, this was so long.
I don't even know that this is a slow burn either.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, the Olga's death happens pretty early in the movie, and that's brutal. Like stuff happens quick, but it's just like there's a lot of sort of downtime in the middle.
Yeah.
It's not like,
the horror beats are not necessarily well timed here.
Like a slow burn maintains the tension, whereas this, it sort of loses the tension,
you can
brings it
forget
back,
about it.
loses the tension, brings it back. Yeah.
There's so much of that stuff about dance in here that, again, like we were talking about with all the duality stuff in here, I actually think you mentioned it before we started recording. There's things in there about how Helena Marcos is like pulling Susie towards the ground.
Yeah. And Madame Blanc is trying to get her in the air. She's trying to get her jumping. Yeah.
Like, might as well jump.
Yeah.
And that stuff is cool.
Mm-hmm.
But man, it makes the movie a lot longer.
It does.
And I think I could have got the idea without them showing me that and telling me that. I don't know that it made it better to have all those dance rehearsal scenes. There's a lot. There's a whole lot.
And they just, I don't know, they didn't play to me as that long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like a ton of stuff happens in this movie.
Okay.
But it is long. I mean, it is officially 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's long.
That's a fact.
Yeah, there's no change in that. That is long.
I do think that you could have, again, eliminated the historical stuff. I think you could have eliminated the doctor-wife storyline and still had a very cool movie that was a very interesting take on the original. Because, I mean, I know you're saying it's like, well, that would just leave it as the original. But it's like having all these elements flipped. Where she shows up, she's the witch.
Uh-huh.
You learn more about her history, her backstory, and stuff like that. Like, I still think that would have been a perfectly competent, cool movie and an interesting twist on the original storyline. And also just a flip of your expectations of what you were expecting whenever you watch a Suspiria remake. I think it would have been fine. I think it could have stood on those legs. I really, really do. I just don't know that all that extra storyline really did much for me. And I've really I want to love it so much. And I've done so much research about, what all those extra storylines and stuff could really mean. And there are so many interpretations of it. Nobody can really agree on anything. And everybody's like, I guess it could mean this. Which just seems like it's not that strong to me. Or that it's that necessary. to be a part of the story. You know? I think that this movie just could have stood on the legs of it being about fucking feminine power. And that would have been fine.
I think if that had happened, everyone would have questioned why it exists.
Yeah.
Like if it didn't add anything new, if it was just a girl power version of the original Suspiria,
yeah,
everybody would be like, why did we need this?
Yeah. And at that point, maybe that's when you should have put the brakes on it and just like maybe even like, perhaps I should not remake Suspiria.
Maybe.
I'm not gonna say though that I don't like it. I like the movie. I do. I like the movie. I think that some of the visuals and stuff are fucking gorgeous. You know, it has this wonderful bleak drab thing about it.
That's true. Yeah.
That is very cool. And again, a lot of very 70s stuff in there with a lot of those snap zooms and dual focus lens
and
stuff.
Everybody smoking constantly.
Everybody smoking all the fucking time. There's a lot that I do like about this movie.
Yeah.
But I do think that it could have been done cleaner and more succinctly. I will watch it again. I won't say that I adore it. I think I'm at like a 6.
Okay.
6. Although I'll tell you this. Sitting down to record this episode, I was thinking 5.
Okay.
But after talking with you and realizing like, wow, there's really a lot to talk about this, especially a lot of the duality stuff.
Yeah.
Pretty fucking interesting.
It is.
It did elevate my opinion of this movie.
Well, good.
From middle of the road to a little bit above the middle of the road. 6.
To like in a lane.
Yeah.
Like middle of the road, that's supposed to be like not good, not bad, but
yeah,
if you're in the middle of a road, that's bad.
Yeah.
You're probably going to get hit by a car.
You could get hit in both lanes.
Yep.
Yeah. Not good. Well, Steve, I'm hoping that the movie that we cover next week will be a in one lane movie. I've never seen it. I thought that it looked bad from the previews, which is why I've never seen it.
The previews were bad, but that's true of every movie, I would say. I've never seen a good preview. We're doing Jennifer's Body. Karen Kusama directs. Diablo Cody wrote it. Man, I'll tell you what. I like this movie a lot. It is not what the preview showed.
Okay.
The preview showed like basically a
sexy chick.
Yeah,
horror.
like a sexy chick killer movie, and that's not it. I mean, that's not it at all, really. I mean, that is happening, but that's not the type of movie it is.
But the twist is, it's a sexy chick with toe thumbs. We'll find out next week. In the meantime, you guys be sure to rate and review on iTunes. It takes us so many hours to make a show, but it only takes you a couple of seconds to make a review and rate and review and all that other good stuff on the iTunes. So please do that. It helps us out a whole shitload.
You can follow us on the Twitters and the Instagrams at Dead Lovely Pod.
Oh, Dead Lovely Pod.
Yeah, it's us. We have a Facebook group, Dead and Lovely something blah blah blah. Look it up. You can email us at deadandlovelypod@gmail.com. And guess what?
Bobby.
I love you,
Bobby. Bobby's World.
Yeah, that's what we were going for, right? The Bobby's World mom.
That's what I was going for anyway. Thank you guys so much for listening to 100 plus a few more bonus episodes.
Bonus
of Dead and Lorgly. This has been a great ride. Thank you guys so much for listening. Be sure to tune in next week for another brand new episode. We will see you guys then. Happy 100th.
Jägermeister.
Yeah, shots. I don't know.
Shot.
Bye.
Bye.